Okay. All right. Y'all ready? King Khan? Man, y'all not ready. I said, are y'all ready? King Khan? That means yes. That means you affirm. Yes, ready? I don't know who else saying I say. Hotep, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So if you're ready, y'all let me know so we can go. I want this LA energy, man. I come out here, the city's super busy. There we go. Super busy. I want to make sure we got the same energy up in here. I want to thank everybody for coming out. All right. Typically we have like an icebreaker, but I'm going to spare y'all the icebreaker on tonight to save for some time. All right. I wasn't fair to the other chapters, but you know, I'm gonna be fair to LA, right? So what I'll do is before we start, we're gonna skip the icebreaker part, but I do want to know who's here. So I'm gonna go around the room real quick. Just give me your name, where you're coming from, what brought you here. Okay. And if you want to share a tidbit or something about yourself, that's cool as well. Let's try to keep it short because if y'all take a long time and I gotta do this, then your stomach's gonna be rumbling, you're gonna get kind of hungry, you're gonna tune out. I don't want that. All right? You ready? King Khan? Man, y'all still sleeping. All right, let's see if I can wake up. Look, there's a coffee machine right there, right next to this brother right there. So if anybody's feeling tired, go get your cup of joe, get your caffeine and in your system and keep it going, all right? I'm gonna show you something. I typically do not drink energy drinks at all, right? However, I ordered something from this store and they had an organic energy drink. Nothing but organic items, sourced from organic stuff. So decided to try it. So this has caffeine in it too. So if you see me extra hyper, because y'all already know I'm pretty passionate, it's because I'm using that to keep me up. I was a little bit tired, but I'm ready to go now, all right? All right, so let's go around the room. I'm gonna start with you, my brother right here.
Absolutely. My name is Prodigy. I'm from Compton, California. I represent the Kemetic community. I'm here to support my good brother, DivineProspect. We've had a couple of conversations on YouTube, Facebook, discussions, and things of that nature. So once I found out he was coming to LA, I had to come show support to my brother.
Facts. I had to check in, like they said. Check in. You'll go back and check out my YouTube channel. You see me and a brother have a really good discussion. Really good discussion. All right. All right. Next, sir.
My name is Mario Cash. I'm originally from Indiana, but I've been living out in LA for like 10 years. And I'm in LA, I'm in the William Hills area. I'm a video editor by day, profession. So I do like video editing for ABC University. And I got into, this kind of knowing about the Israelite type of doctrine from there's Watchmen Ministries.
Yes.
I started into that, and I, started doing it through YouTube. I ran across you, and I was wondering. I said, "Why you never come to LA?"
People keep saying that, yeah.
So it's a good thing you came to LA. And I'm support and learn more and do the right thing.
Awesome. I gotta talk to you after this. I might have some work for you. It's good to know what people do professionally as well. You know what I'm saying? Because it could be a benefit to the community as a whole.
Yes,
so we get into that. All right. So I'm gonna jump back to these fine ladies back here. We'll start first with you, sis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm Christina. I came here with my mother. So my background is I'm an event planner, and I run a gifting community as well, partner.
Awesome. Okay. And your lovely mother.
I stated I'm Christina's mother, and my name is Virginia. I'm a realtor. I've been selling real estate for 40 years. That's what I brought my kids up on.
Nice.
That's how I make my living. And I saw you on YouTube last night, and I've been wondering, how can I, get involved with some of these people? And I heard you say you were going to be in LA
Yes.
on Saturday, and I emailed and wanted to know where we're going to be. And so that's how I wound up. I called her down and asked her if she wanted to come. She said, yes, okay.
Awesome. Okay, great. Okay. Next.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I was brought here by my friend Kim. I'm a registered nurse. I live in the Marietta area. Yeah.
Oh, you live in what area?
Yeah.
Where, in Georgia?
Uh-uh.
Oh,
He's out here.
oh, the Marriott out here. Oh, that's the fake Marriott. I mean, that's your Marriott. Okay. You got one in Georgia.
Yeah.
Um,
That's about it.
Okay, cool. All right, next.
Kimberly,
Hey.
I've been following Divine for a while. I wanted to really get into kingdom hermitage to help out the community and just learn how I can help. I'm the Israelite too, so that's my background. But I used to be with GFCC, but not anymore.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. All right, next.
My name is Robert. I'm here with my father. I stay in San Bernardino, and I'm just here to take in information and
See what we about. That's what's up. All right, Mitch, what's going on?
Mitchell Youngblood. Originally, I grew up in the city, but I still live in the city. I was in the Marine Corps out here, and I just want to bring my son so he can get around like-minded people, mentorship, stuff like that. Cause since I was young, it's like I've been a stranger. I don't see people. I run across people. Like I tell people, I just don't fit this world ideology. And it's been like that for me forever. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Trust me, we all can relate, and we'll take good care of him. All right? Okay, cool. All right, next.
my name is Dean. I've been following Kingdom Harvard Ministries for about a year. And so I'm just interested in coming out tonight. I go to school in San Francisco State University and study communications as well as Africana studies.
Nice.
I'm
Okay.
just excited to be here.
All right, that's awesome. And the person you with?
My name is
That's about it. Okay, cool. All right, next.
Yeah, my name is Roy Jenkins from Long Beach, California. Someone here from Long Beach, that is. I first heard about you on the Hebrew Mega Conference with that Ron Dog Jr.
Yes.
sponsor.
Yes.
Yes. So I first got in contact, heard about you there. And then I started checking out your YouTube channels and videos and stuff. And so I've been following like you and Ron since then.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for coming out. I appreciate it. How did you find out about the event?
Watching them.
YouTube, okay.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. All right, next.
My name is Robert. Teach at community college. During the day, work security at Amazon. And I came across the talk that you had with Tail Ministry, Dr. Forston, while I'm doing my patrols. And I listened to Tail and Dr. Forston at night. Patrolling the insides of the Amazon. Your talk on Thursday just was electrifying because I'm seeing part of the community that's, they're advocating for reparations and what have you, but they're advocating for it by trying to go to the government. And when I was hearing what you were saying, it's already laid out.
It's there.
But I guess if you haven't come into the truth completely, and you're still in the world, and the natural thing to do is to
keep on your hand down.
Yeah, you go into the government for help, go to the Most High, and then that's how you're going to get your reparations. It all came together. How we're going to get it from other countries and what have you. It's just, oh man.
Yeah. Thank you for checking out. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I mean, a lot of people like that one because it's practical. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we're gonna touch on today. I need a lot of people come out and check out my lectures when I be talking about deep stuff and cultural stuff and stuff like that. But today we get into the practical side of things and how to transmute that into real world solutions for the societal ills that we face in our community. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you for coming out based on that. All right, right there.
Yeah, my name is Cameron. I'm from the South Bay area. I'm subscribed on YouTube. So I thought I would just come out and see what it's like in real life.
Okay, that's what's up. So I gotta fill this guy out, man. See if he's the truth or not. I don't know. All right, my brother back there, what's going on?
Lamont Williams. My Hebrew name is Gabor Layah. I'm just a servant of the Most High. Man, I've been following you for a while, so I'm glad to just be able to come out and support. I'm finishing up my master's in Mississippi in clinical psychology.
Nice.
I fought professionally boxing for a couple of years, did a little MMA. I'm a boxing coach, and looking forward to giving back to the community and networking with some of you all. So glad to be here. Glad Most High is using you to do what you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you. I might have to outsource you for that coaching stuff.
Most definitely.
All right. You next, my brother?
My name is Otis Miller. My Hebrew name is Obadiah. Like he said, I'm a servant of the Most High. I've been following Otter for a few years now, and I was kind of coming up in the air on that truth. Seeing you on Sinetta, the way you articulated with them brothers and broke them down all the way. I was like, yo, I got to see what brothers about.
Yeah.
Shooting up ever since that moment, your lectures, a lot of insight and stuff like that, and what you're doing with KHM. And anytime I can feel like I can help the community, I want to. I used to sell dope, and I've been in the wilderness for 3 years, started my own construction business, and now I build houses. So I sell hope now, you feel me? So
It's
I'm
time now,
for our
man.
people. You feel
That's
me?
what's up. That's what's up. Oh yeah, we definitely gonna utilize that one, bro.
Yeah.
All right, appreciate that. Did we get everybody over here? Yes. Anybody hiding behind that wall? I can't see. Sometimes people be hiding underneath the table, so I can go to the bathroom, something like that. We gonna get there. All right. You next, my brother.
Hey, what's up, man?
What's up?
My name is Franz Pierre, and I heard you're gonna be in town. I didn't want to lose the opportunity to meet you, so that's why I'm here. I thought it was gonna be tomorrow, so
whoa.
I saw your post.
Yeah.
Like what, 7:15? Because I live right next close by.
Oh wow. Yeah. So tomorrow we're gonna have a luncheon tomorrow. So we're gonna try to do a get together before I leave. I think I'll be at the airport at by like 8:30. So we're gonna do one during the afternoon time. So anybody, if y'all want to come out tomorrow as well, just maybe about an hour or two, we can go get something to eat, talk, and be a little more informal, and we can kind of build as well. All right. So yeah, we are still gonna be here tomorrow. We just don't really announce that too much because we want everybody to come here and find out where we're going tomorrow. But if you know anybody that didn't, we'll make it out. And they want to come, if they're available tomorrow, they can come on out. All right. So I appreciate that. All right. So we'll go with you.
My name is Josh Childress, originally from Compton, California, former professional athlete, and now real estate investor and developer. And I'm here with the Orange County crew. My brother Jamal Sampson told me a lot about you, so I just wanted to come check it out.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, my brother. I appreciate that. Short and to the point. All right. I'm gonna go to the back. Yes.
Trey, I came here with my wife, Amber. We heard about you. We're enrolled in Akwiti Shabbat class, Rabbi Akwiti.
Oh, where's that? Okay. Good brother.
Of you in high regards, so that's why we came. Check you out in real life.
Yeah.
Listen to your videos a lot as well.
Mm-hmm.
Super articulate, like you brother said, super informative. So
thank you.
Came out to check you out.
Appreciate it. Have you seen Aqua? You know he's in Vegas.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen him yet first.
Yeah, he's in Vegas. I don't know if he's doing anything physically out there, but yeah, he's in Vegas. I told him I'll go visit him one day, but we're supposed to be planning a trip. I think they're going to Accra this year, but I'll have to go with him next year when we go to Ghana.
Yeah, I
That's where he's going this year.
Teacher. When he said,
yeah,
you're a master teacher.
Well, I'm humbled and I'm honored to hear that. Yeah, because me and him had when we went to I think the last time I seen him was last year at the Great Awakening Conference. It was a huge conference in July in Detroit. That's when I formally met him and we talked and everything. But I knew him a little bit before that. You know what I'm saying? But they're supposed to be going to Ghana next month. And I'm supposed to go, but unfortunately I'm not gonna be able to go this trip. But next year we plan to go to Accra as well. Yeah. Cool. And your wife?
Yes, I'm Amber, and we just came because we want to get involved in the community as well. So
cool. All right, they won't put their hands to the plow like that. All right, sis?
Karen, my name is Karen Butler, and I came with my daughters from the Reno Valley. Saw you on YouTube Thursday night. And I'm a hairstylist, and I just wanted to check you out.
Okay, cool.
My name is Daj. I used to play basketball, graduated in December with a communication degree and a minor in sports management, but I found bigger, grander opportunity and being with the Awakening and just wanting to more so focus on that instead of sports and idolizing people and having people idolize me. I wasn't, like, to me, it just didn't fit to be, you know, an athlete. So I retired, came home, and I just studied and prayed that I worked on and crafted every day.
Awesome, awesome. You be remiss to kind of ignore the fact that you did learn stuff there that can be transmitted in other areas as well, right? So don't cut everything that's done. You can still find value in that, yeah. Yeah, that's good, that's good. Next.
My name is Jada. We came to see, you know, what you about, what you putting down in the community. And I came out here to California from North Carolina. I was going through what I was called by the Most High. And I wanted to dedicate my complete life to him and everything and follow what he's going to do.
Awesome, awesome. I like that. Next, my brother right here.
How you doing? My name's Myron. I'm actually working out in Los Angeles. It's had an opportunity to come over here. I wasn't knew that you were going to be here. So I work for UPS, oversee global business and transportation for UPS. And I've been following you now for about, I'd say, close to a year. So awesome. It's been a wonderful thing. And I think for me, it's been an awakening and opening to specific things because it's been, I'd say, like 5 years that I walked away from the church and then just started opening myself up to these particular things and actually instructing and bringing my wife on board. Wow. So now she's starting to understand this process of things going on. So now we're getting everything in order with my wife and with my children. So
awesome.
For myself, I was able to actually get away from work.
We won't tell nobody.
Just watching the videos. A small time. But just to collect some information and just the opportunity just to meet more people and then bring all that information back home and just establish.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, thank you. All right. You, sir?
Yeah, my name's Austin, South Bay native from Carson, live in Orange County, and I was invited by my friends to come check you out, watch a couple videos, a couple of dialogues that you had, and so I'm excited to be here and just learn.
Awesome, awesome.
Hi, my name is Susie. Here with my husband. We just drove up from Orange County, again invited by Jamal. Don't know much about the ministry, but here to learn.
Yeah, and this is what we're gonna talk about. So you'll get more than enough information on that. All right, next, my brother.
Chris Childress, again from Compton, here with my brothers. We live out in Orange County. What is intriguing is Jamal's kind of telling us about what you've done in the community to kind of uplift us and bring us together. So, you know, I appreciate anybody that's trying to educate our own. So that's why I'm here to support.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that. Next one, brother.
Thanks, Philip. Again, here with Jamal. He spoke highly about you. Told me that your knowledge is very, so that's on another level. So.
Now I can't disappoint you now. You already set it up. Okay.
I appreciate his understanding of the word as well. I've been on the journey for about 4.5, 5 years myself.
Wow, nice.
So looking to hear and learn more.
Did you pull him in when you started? Is that how that happened? Around that time? Okay. Cool. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you for coming out. I have my videographer here. He's just recording, so he's not officially part, but he's just overseeing things as recording. And now I'm gonna get to my team. So Jamal, please introduce yourself, my brother.
Jamal Sampson. I'm from here in local Inglewood. I've been doing following Divine for 4 or 5 years. So I watched his video. Appreciate, like they said, what he does in the community as far as just not just preaching on YouTube or preaching out there on the web, but actually getting in the community and making a difference. So that's my reason I wanted to support him.
Awesome. You want to tell us about your background, or you want to be modest about it? I hate to say be modest. All right. Now my team, David, Gail. So I'm gonna tell you about these 3 people here in a second, but I want them to introduce themselves. So David, go ahead and introduce yourself.
David.
They can't see you, David.
Hello. First time actually setting foot in LA. Well, second time. So excited to be here. Excited to meet everyone here. Excited about the crowd. Excited that that we're here to serve. What I do is mainly in the background, the heavy lifting, if you will, behind the scenes so that the mind can do what he do. So once again, it's a blessing and an honor to be here.
Awesome. All right, Gail.
I'm Gail, and everything he said. Happy to be here, excited to be here. We love to serve, and we just give all praise to the Most High.
Awesome. All right, that's my team. So I just want to give a shout out to David and Gail. So I formally met them this year, earlier this year. So I've been doing a lot of restructuring with the organization for some time now. I initiated back in 2014, so it's been almost 6.5 years since I've been doing it. And I was outsourcing assistants from time to time, but I said I needed a dedicated staff to kind of help me out with a couple of things so that way I can focus on certain initiatives and teaching and getting in the community and overseeing things. So I don't even know where they came from, but they found out about me and they started following me for some time. And then after a while, we started talking with them and found out that they actually had an answering service, right? They have a call center answering service. So after speaking with them, they said, hey, we think that's what you need. And I said, okay, cool, because I get 1 million calls. And then I don't know if anybody's called me here before within the past year or two, or even before that. And you say, all right, let me see if I can get in touch with you, brother. You can't get in touch with him. It's not intentional. It's just I get so much stuff. I just have to find a way to offload it. So they came in with that. You know what I'm saying? So now if you call the number, you'll get our answering service. You know what I'm saying? Where we touch every call that comes in, make sure we capture the information, put on a scheduler so that way I can get back to them or assign it to somebody else. So we're kind of restructuring that direction. They're also providing executive assistance is something additional they tacked on because they saw the things that I needed help with, and they said, hey, we want to step in and do that. So they've been keeping me accountable, keeping me on track. Even this, they set up most of this while I was doing something else, trying to get things in order. So they've been keeping things afloat for me, and I really appreciate them for that. I want to make sure they get their honor and their credit for it while they're here. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking. And then Jamal, I don't know where he came from. Let me stop. But it's a weird story. He told me that his wife met me back in 2015. It's 5 years ago when I was in North Carolina. There was an event by a group called Rude Awakening. I don't know if anybody here has heard of Michael Rude. Anybody heard of who that is? Yeah. Well, he does Messianic Judaism. He has a congregation out in North Carolina, right? And there was an event out there, and a mutual friend that I guess he met Jamal at that time, but I knew him since maybe 2014, had invited me to come down there because David Rowe, I don't know if you know who that is, he's an Egyptologist, was going to be there at this event they were doing for this premiere for this movie called Patterns of Evidence. Have you heard of Patterns of Evidence?
Yeah.
If you haven't, go check it out.
Yeah.
Whether you subscribe to it or not, it's good to know the kind of information is out because they're trying to find tangible ways of validating the Exodus, right? So Tim Mahoney was a director, and one of the people that he sourced was David Rowe, who's an Egyptologist, and he told me he was going to be out there. So I said, yeah, let's go. So we drove out there, and we got a hotel room. At the hotel, we went and kind of built with them, and then I had to sit down, build with him, that you can find on YouTube and check it out, my discussion with David Rowe. And then he said his wife was there, so that's when we got in contact with her. And then he said he's been following me silently for some time, and then I guess this year he reached out formally, right? Introduced himself and said he's in LA. Said, brother, if you need anything in here, let me know. So we got to thank him because he found this venue. He took care of the cost for this venue, and he's just been hands-on helping with anything that he can. So I truly appreciate this brother and for bringing out his friends as well. All right, so that's my team. Please give them a round of applause. Now that's for now. So we got chapters in other cities, and we're restructuring and building. We have an LA chapter we're about to launch. That's what we're going to talk about right now. So hopefully, and again, it's no pressure, but hopefully we can get everybody here involved with that LA chapter because there's a lot of work to do in the community, and so many other groups have been given an opportunity to make a difference, and I don't think that our community has actually done what they were supposed to do. So what we're gonna do is show you the concept behind the organization, show you openly and transparently how we run, how it's operated, and how you can get involved, okay?
I have a question.
Yes.
My mom invited me, so I came along, but I don't know exactly what you guys do.
Okay.
So could you just give me a little synopsis?
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about the organization in here. So maybe that'll answer your question in here. But I think you're talking about like as far as what we identify with or something like that. Is that what you're referring to?
Exactly. You say ministry, so.
Yeah, gotcha.
And what doctrine were you coming from in respect to that?
Okay. Let me see if I can say it briefly and then get into this. So there are a group of individuals who have been on a journey of researching to try to discover any kind of additional insight in regards to African Americans and their heritage and identity. And what this marginalized group has done was come across information to kind of validate and verify our connection with what we read in the text and the actual Bible itself, that we're actually connected to those individuals, right? And we've used a lot of extra biblical information and kind of like verify what that is. And I've done a couple of videos and stuff on it as well. Even had a little discussion with my brother right here about it. And even though he don't even subscribe to that, but he was open to hear kind of how I delineated the information to him. So that's pretty much what we have. We identify as being descendants of the people you read in the text. Okay. You know what I'm saying? And we actually go into the migration routes, the oral traditions, and other little things to kind of help to show that transition from that region over to what's here in Americas and how we're involved with that. So that's pretty much our disposition. And the objective is to reconstruct and restore the cultural paradigm of the people that we see in the text, not the religious element of it that's extracted elements of the culture and turn it into a system to benefit those outside of the culture. And what they've done is that a lot of things that were done culturally have been demonized, right? And it's been done so that way it can remove us to an indigenous cultural perspective in regards to how we read and how we operate that text in everyday life today. You know what I'm saying? So that's a kind of like summation. There's other more gray areas to it to discuss, but at the end, we're gonna have like an hour of just open dialogue and discussion. So if you have any questions or concern about anything, you know what I'm saying, we can have that discussion as well, okay? And at that time, you can ask me anything, all right? But this time, right now, for about an hour, we're gonna talk about what the ministry is about, okay? Yes. Is it too small? I don't know if I can do that. I mean, I could probably zoom in a little bit. Let me see. Thank you for that, because I wouldn't have even known. Let's see. It's all good. And those of you also, okay, is that better? Let's see if you can see it on there. Those of you also, if anybody you know who may be interested in this, you can definitely have them go online. You could just ask them if it's they can go online, go to the Kingdom Harbinger Ministries YouTube channel, and it's streaming live right now. So anybody that you know who may have been interested or may not be able to come, please get the word out if y'all don't mind. See, I say that and nobody grabs their phone, but it's okay. Like, yeah, we got you. It's cool. Is that better? Is that better? And if y'all don't mind, can y'all take out your phones real quick just to kind of check? I want to make sure that y'all can see it as well on your phone. You can kind of help those who are not physically here to make sure that it can be seen. Better? Okay, cool. All right. Okay, and you're gonna need your phone too, because there's a part in here that I need you guys to do as far as slight interaction. All right. Okay, so how we doing? What time is it? Can somebody give me a time count? 7:47. 7:40. Okay, so somebody let me know when it's 8:30. Okay, so right. Y'all seeing it? Let's go to Kingdom Harbinger Ministries on YouTube. Harbinger, Harbinger, and just let me know if you see it streaming.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. All right. You can bring the volume down a little bit because I know. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So let me. What's going on with this? Okay, this is just working. All right, let me close it and open it real quick. Of course, there will be some technical difficulties. Okay, and if anybody wants any water, don't forget there's water back there, there's snacks back there, bathrooms also back there as well, right? For women, you want to go straight down to the back. You'll see it on your left. For men, you go into the stairwell and it's in your immediate right. Okay. All right. All right, so since you have your phones out, can anybody right now go to your Android, if you have Android, Google Play, if you have Apple, the Apple App Store. So please pull it up real quick. All right, some of you probably already, how many already have this app already? Not that many, okay, so 3. Okay, so everybody else, open it up, and what you wanna do is you wanna type in My One Church app in the search field, My One Church app, and you'll see it come up. This is what the icon looks like, so you know you got the right app. You wanna click on that, download and install it real quick. All right, if you need any help, you can just ask David or Gail. They can probably walk around and assist you with it. All right, and once you have it installed, open it up. All right, when you get a show of hands, how many people have it opened already? Okay, we'll wait for anybody else. All right, you got it over there? Got it? Okay, cool. Everybody over here got it too? Yes, over here, everybody? Okay. Huh? My One Church app, yeah. So once you download it and you have it open, there should be a zip code field. Do you see that?
Yes.
All right, so click in there and type 30064 and hit enter. When you do that, you'll see the Kingdom Harbinger Ministries entry show up. See that? All right, click onto that. And then that should bring you to our custom app.
Can you repeat the
Yes, 30064.
Thank you.
You see it? Did it show up? Okay, so click on it. And then once you click into it, you should see like the slogan there at the top, right? It should say Kingdom Harbinger Ministries at the very top. Slogan is right underneath it. And then you'll see like events, groups, and stuff like that. You see that? Yeah. All right, so what I want y'all to do real quick is click on the events button. And then you'll see this event there. Click on that. And this is our check-in. Yes.
What is the code again?
30064. So you click on events, and at the top right, there's like a menu dots, I think it is. If you click onto that, it says sign up. You see that? You'll see sign up.
Register.
Oh, register? Yeah, register. So click on register and please fill that out real quick. This way, we're able to capture everybody that's here. We're able to stay in touch with you. All right. And also, next time we have events, we can do a check-in. And the reason why we want to do this is because for security reasons, we want to know everybody that's coming in here so we can account for people, because sometimes people want to bring their children here. So if something happens to a child goes missing, something like that, we know everybody that's here. It's a check-in system. All right. And that's for the safety and security of everybody that's here as well. Is everybody okay with that? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So I'll let y'all. So once you register, once you're done with that, then there's other things on there. You can click on groups, and I'll talk about some of the groups in a moment. You can click on the groups and join one of our groups for some of the roles that we have here in the LA chapter. And then also there's other services that we offer as well: credit repair, naturopath health consultation. You can sign up for those things as well, and you can sign up for a member if you feel led to. It's up to you. Okay, and that we can talk about at the end. All right, so as long as everybody registered, what we're going to be able to do is see that registration on the app that we have on the computer, just to make sure that we have everybody's information captured in here so we can stay in touch with you guys. And like I said, every time we come back, make sure we know everybody that's here, everybody knows everybody that's here. So the information you send in is only going to be shown to our team. So nobody outside of that team is going to see any of this sensitive information, okay? It's just so that we know who's here, so if something happens, we can give an account and be accountable for the actions and things that go on in here, all right? That's for everybody's safety, okay? King Khan? Because a lot of times it's good to have that, because you never know who might be here and something might happen. Somebody could just dip out. You never know who that person is, right? So this is here to protect everybody here, and as well as to interact with us as far as the organization is concerned, okay? All right, so everybody's good? Everybody did it? Almost, okay. Give you another minute. Just so you know, there's also a vending station behind Jamal and Mr. Childress back there. So you guys can check that out when we do our break, the food break, and see the items that we got over there. If you're interested in it, just let me know and we can hook you up with it. All right? Yes, you have a question over there? You good? Good? You're welcome. All right, so everybody's straight, right?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, so we can move forward, all right? I'm just gonna wait right there. Everything good, David?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna get back to the screen real quick. All right, so welcome. So thank you everybody for coming out. I think I did that part already, so I'm not gonna burden you with that again, but we're gonna pretty much introduce what we are as an organization, okay? So how many of y'all are subscribed to me on YouTube? Raise your hand. Almost everybody, right? Anybody else? If you're not subscribed, that website, not website, but YouTube channel to go to, Kingdom Harbinger Ministry, just go there, click on the little subscribe button. There's a bell next to it, click on the bell, click all, because after we talk with a couple of hours on today, you want to go back and see some of the stuff that we've done, not just in the community, things that we teach and stuff like that, all right? Okay, so last time I was here in LA was 2016, and I had an event in North Hollywood, I think it was, and I was supposed to debate a pastor. And the debate was, is Christianity or I think he said Hebrew Israelism, Hebrew Israelite, something like that. Which one is better for the Black community? And this was a pastor who was well known in the community. He knew a lot of captains of the police force, politicians, and everything like that. And we wanted to know the neighborhood in which his church is in. How come we don't see no difference if you're a church and you know all these people? How come nothing changing here? So we wanted to know if a paradigm shift was necessary or if the current model that they were following was sufficient. And he never showed up. So it was just, I just had to wing it from there. But we had a good turnout, good event, but he just didn't show up. He didn't want to debate for whatever reason. So I don't know what happened. I never heard from him to this day. You know what I'm saying? So it would be nice. You know what? Now I think about it. Tomorrow's Sunday, right? I think I need to show up at his church. If we went to his church too, because we trying to figure out where this guy at. How come he didn't show up? He just ignored us the whole time. Didn't acknowledge us. It's crazy. He said pull up. Y'all know that's what I do. I pull up anyway. So that was the last time I was here, but I'm glad to be back. I always wanted to come back to LA, so don't think that I didn't think about LA. I love LA. I will try to come back as much as I can, especially when we get this chapter set up. It's designed to be autonomous, so y'all can operate outside of just me. However, a check-in system is good, so I can oversee, know what's going on, provide support, and any other initiatives that I can give to the team, so that way you guys can do the work out here. I'm here to help with that, right? All right, so these prerequisites. Now, these prerequisites are mostly for people who want to join this organization. Now, some people may not fit these prerequisites. That's okay, but it's good for you to know if we are here, we can still partner with you, even though you don't want to become a member, right? Because we do work with other organizations outside of just KHM. So if you're an organization, you're going into the Black community, and you're trying to do some good, trying to make a difference, and you need help, then our team can be here to assist you, right? But however, if you do fit these prerequisites, you can be a part of KHM because we have some core principles and ideologies that we subscribe to. But just so you know, once I run down to this, it doesn't matter if you go to a church, congregation, group, whatever. We don't care about it because that's not what this is, okay? You can get together, fellowship, talk, and build. That's fine. But we're here to say, okay, how can we get in the community, find and identify the issues that we're facing, and how can we take this paradigm, our cultural paradigm, and apply it in real life to fix issues, real world issues. You can't just sit in a congregation and learn stuff, and then you go home and have the same problems in your community. I mean, why are you even learning this stuff if you can't even actualize it? Like, what's the point of it? You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's the case, you might as well stay Christian. Right? And wait for the rapture or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might as well. There's no offense to anybody who's Christian out there, but I'm saying, like, that mentality is like, okay, well, I ain't got to do nothing. Right? It's going to sit here and just wait it out. That's not what the ideology of the text teaches. And unfortunately, we've been taught that passive role is what we should be taking in the community, and that's why the community jacked up. So we're not selling for that. There's too many issues in the Black community that need to be fixed, and we, the people that you see here, and as we grow, then we the ones responsible for bringing that light to those dark areas and bringing a solution that's tangible that can fix things in real time. All right? So the prerequisites start off is, I don't know why I jumped to all three, but those who identify as an Israelite, and that's important, those who practice Torah, and those who are proactive. Now, if you want to raise your hand, how many of y'all fulfill all three? You can raise your hand. That's it? Oh, man, that's interesting. So we got a conversation at the end of this to talk about, but that's all good. However, what we want to do is pique the interest of those who may not identify with all three of those. So how many people, at least how many are proactive? At least raise your hand. It's okay. The camera's not on you, so you're straight. All right, so do y'all know what is proactivism? What does it mean to be proactive? Because the other two is ideological. The second one is important because you're going to transmute that type of data into real world or real time to fix the problem. But the last one is 1 and 2 is fine, and we have 1 million people that are doing 1 and 2. But the last one, I don't see a lot of people doing that. Because if that's the case, then there should be peace in the cities that we're in. We don't get into that. So what is proactivism? That's something that I'm very big on. I've done videos and stuff on it. Yes, what's proactivism?
That's taking the initiative, not being reactive to things happening to you, but you are impressing upon your environment.
And you put in forth preventive measures so you can sway away any kind of adversarial outcomes. So for example, police brutality. How many of y'all know about police brutality? Raise your hand. All right. And when you see protests, how many of y'all see protests after police brutality? And then how many of y'all see it happen again? How many of y'all see protesting after that again? How many see police brutality happen again? How many see protesting after that? Well, dang, is this what we're gonna keep doing? Like, how do you fix that problem? Protesting is a reactive, I would say kind of a reactive response to something that is adversarial. But when you protest, you're doing it from a position of powerlessness. Because if you had power, you didn't have to protest. Right. So how come we only see Black people in the street protesting? And anybody else is pretty much opportunists that like to join up with Black people. So it's something to do. But how come we don't see white Jews out in the street protesting in mass like we do? Where's the East Indians protesting in mass like we do? Where the Arabs protesting in mass like we do? How come these groups are not doing that?
Because they have money.
They have power. They have cultural influence. Yeah, they have affluence, which is the money aspect, and cultural influence. And not just that, they get involved in the politics of their community, in the economics of their community, and the land ownership, property ownership of their community. So they have power, they have leverage. So they don't need to protest, they negotiate. We protest. Why is that? Why is Black people still protesting? And all these other ethnic groups ain't got to do that. That's one. That could be one of our downfalls. What else?
We sell out.
Oh, that's a big one. That's a huge one. That's number 2.
Not enough knowledge.
Lack of knowledge, and give me one more. Money, economics. Excellent. Okay, so let's see what we can do. So let me break down our mission statement for us as an organization so you understand our vision. What we're gonna lay out for you here is an overview of what we're about. We also have a draft chart if anybody wants to see the laws and bylaws of how we operate as well. We have that too. Okay, but what I'm going to do in this presentation is pretty much give you an overview of just about everything, covers all bases, okay, from the conception to the operation, all right? So mission statement is, we are a ministry organization. Ministry simply means servitude, right? Service. Ministry organization charged with being a herald for the kingdom of Yah to come. That's the ideological part. Harbingers go before king or army to announce their arrival and make lodgings for their stay. We are bringing awareness of Yah to our community and preparing them to be received by Yah. That is the mission statement as far as the ideological aspect is concerned, right? However, to accomplish this, we are restoring culture to our people to form a more close-knit and proactive community with the goal of becoming autonomous. That's the key, autonomy. So what I propose as a solution to police brutality, to the lack of education, economics, is autonomy. What is autonomy? Somebody, self-sufficiency, self-governance. How do we govern our own social affairs in our community? Do we have a system in place? Do we have a body politic? Do you have an institution that's teaching these things? What do we have established so that way we can rely on each other for the resources that we need so we don't have to go outside of our community and put our hand out? That's the problem. We always want a handout. You know why? Because they beat us so much to becoming a slave mentally that's what the slave had to do, ask master for everything. didn't learn how to do for self. But before we got over here, we were self-sufficient. When we got over here, they made us dependent upon it. And that's why we are in the condition of younger, too dependent in the system that is oppressing us. Yes.
And that's what we see with the other nations, even in this country. More that combined effort together to cause change in their community.
Facts. That's tangible. That's concrete, right? Because they have a core culture that the community subscribes to that teaches them how to do economics, how to do politics, how to acquire land, how to deal with your brother and sister. There's a dispute or argument or issue. We don't have that. We lack that. And that's the problem, right? And that's why we're in a position we're in. So what we're doing is, from our cultural paradigm as identified as Israelites, is trying to find one of many ways to bring back that autonomous state, so that way we can become self-reliant. Because if things happen, we should be able to communicate each other and take care of the problem in-house. So, for example, we had this economic depression based on COVID, right? So 2 things. In the Black community, the health in the Black community is right here. The Black man in America is right here. Black woman is slightly above her. But you know, what's the most protected demographic in the country? Gender and race in the country.
White women.
White women!
Yeah.
Did y'all know that?
Yes.
White women is the most protective class of person in America. They live longer, they're the less incarcerated, they're the most economically sound because they get inheritance from their husband or grandfather or father, whatever. White women. But Black men, right here. White women's up here, Black men's right here. Black men, we die quicker than everybody else. We have more stress, high incarceration rate. It's crazy, right? That's crazy, that's interesting. Now, I say that because the question is, okay, we here, they're there, there's a disparity, there's a gap. Why? Why is there a gap? Well, obviously, we know this country was not founded to benefit us. How many of y'all know that? Did y'all know that? The country wasn't founded for us, it was founded on top of us. We was the foundation that helped build this country. Then after that, they like, okay, Civil War, Reconstruction, okay, what are we gonna do with these Black folk? And then they started to create these Black codes. You know what Black codes are? Okay. Pig laws, you heard of the pig laws before? That means if there's an animal that was run away and we out on the outskirts trying to survive and we caught the animal, we get caught with the animal. They say, oh, you know, the nearest slave master plantation, oh, that's my animal. It may not even be his animal. Get us right to jail and bring us into the convict leasing program. What's that? You know what the convict leasing program is? It's another way to bring you back on a plantation, because, you know, the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment that was initiated, that's supposed to be for us. It says that slavery is no longer involuntary, except by what? By crime, by imprisonment. And then now we put you back on a plantation. So you got caught with that pig trying to eat something to survive, number one. Or number two, you're trying to find something to do, so they create vagrancy laws. What's the vagrancy law? Vagrant, you ain't got no job. Well, how am I supposed to get a job? You just fired me, just kicked me off the plantation. Oh, so you just walking around for, oh, you're going to jail. So they started arresting us en masse. The state and the local government started making contracts with the slave masters and putting us right back on the plantation. And if that didn't work, then we had to work to live somewhere. And what was that called? There's another word for it. No. Has to do with land. Sharecropping. Now we can't even own nothing, and if we do own something, we got to work in order to get it. And it's not because it's the sweat of our brow because we're making the revenue for it. It's because the slave master said, hey, well, we still got some plantation to be worked on. Hey, you can work and you can live here. And guess what? Still treat you any way he want to treat you. Right? So this is the history. So what we started to do after a while is, hey, we just need to get on our own and find something to do. Create our own infrastructure, our own institution, our own jobs, our own economy. And we did that en masse. A lot of times you don't know about the Rosewoods or the Black Wall Street. There was tons of little towns. They don't exist now because of integration. But back then, there was a lot of towns where we were self-sufficient. We were relying on each other. The Black family was much stronger than what it is today. Black families are much stronger. Now, there's one myth that's out there that says that Black men don't take care of their children. Actually, done studies on that, and that's not true. It's still a stereotype from maybe 15, 20 years ago, but a lot has changed now. Black fathers are getting more involved in their families, but they tuck that under the rug. They don't want nobody to know that. They want to continue to promote this image that Black men don't care about their children, right? So I'm saying all this to say is that what we want to do is provide solutions for these issues And from our cultural paradigm, I feel that my community has been lax on this and has not been active enough. So what I'm trying to do is actuate an actual way to make this a reality. All right. So let's move forward. All right. Implementing cultural autonomy in the community, do research and application. That's stuff that I talk about. But let's go over the logo real quick. All right. So as you can see, what are the three main colors in our logo? Does anybody know? If you don't know, you just look on my chest. The answer's right there. What are the three major colors? Red, black, and green. Okay, red, black, and green. Red, black, and green. Wow. So some people might say, oh man, that's from Garveyism. How many of y'all know who Marcus Garvey was? Okay. All right. I'm a fan of Marcus Garvey, but his usage of the colors in UNIA is slightly different than our usage of colors, even though there are some core similarities. All right, but I'm gonna go over. Okay. So first thing is, here's what the logo looks like right now. We're actually gonna have a rebranding, so we're actually gonna do another logo. It's gonna be more 3D-ish, but this is the one that we're currently working with. Can anybody identify anything in this logo from looking at it? The lions, that's the first thing to stand out. How many lions are there? Okay, 2 lions, okay, what else? See, this is the thing that messes people up right here. They're like, what the heck is that? Let me see if somebody can figure that out. Hold on one second. Rob. Hey, Rob. You got it? You got enough footage and everything? Okay, so you stepping out, right? Okay, cool. I'm gonna call you later when we're done here. Okay. All right, so anybody know what this is right here?
Looks like somebody's going to show off.
There you go. I think you heard me say that before, right? That's because otherwise you were like, what the heck is that? So yes, it is a man with a shofar, blowing a shofar. He has a tanakh in his hand right here. He has a shawl over him, and it's a silhouette because I couldn't use the image of the person because I had to get permission for that. But it was I created it into a silhouette, and we put that in the center of it because that has to do with a harbinger, announcing the arrival, bringing attention to the arrival of the king or kingdom, and making preparation for them to arrive, right? So yes, we do see that. Now, what else do we see in here besides the lions and this individual in the middle? What else do you see? Circles. Man, I'm not gonna call on you no more, because you already know. Anybody else? He said the circles. How many circles are there? Major circles. Is the wheel inside a wheel? That's the first time somebody said that. That's deep. I like that. Right from the text. And what else? So somebody said 4. The out one don't count. This one don't count. Yeah, so it's 1, 2, 3. There's a reason for that. We're gonna get over to that in a second, all right? So let's deal with the colors first, right? The red. So how many of y'all know about Marcus Garvey UNIA and the declaration in regards to what the colors were? Anybody knows about Marcus Garvey in here? 1 person, 2, 3, 4.
No, but not with me.
Not with, okay, cool. So there was a declaration that was made by the UNIA in regards to the colors that they decided upon at one of their conferences in Harlem, and an interview was done with Marcus Garvey where he actually broke down what those colors are for, right? So I'm gonna show you our take on it. So the red is the blood of our ancestors through us, because that blood flows through us, that they spill for us, so that was spilled on our behalf. It must be redeemed by our actions today, and all the scattered in the diaspora are connected by this. So those of us that identify as Israelites believe that a lot of us are the lost sheep that have been scattered to the four corners of the earth based on the consequences of the actions of our forefathers, all right? Those people who do not subscribe to being an Israelite believe that we are part of the African diaspora, and that was a result of the transatlantic slave trade, okay? So the red represents that blood that we have connection with our ancestors and that we have with all of us that are scattered across the four corners of the earth, all right? And now the blood that was spilled by them through their actions or the actions of others impressed upon them, it has to be redeemed today by our actions so that it was not spilled in vain. All right, so that's the motivating factor behind why we have the color red there as a reminder of that. All right, so black is the byword representation of our identity and hue in the diaspora. All right, so a byword, what's a byword? So what?
But the byword is like something that is not your actual name. It's a taken from basically like a representation.
Like a pseudo representation of who you are. Yeah, so a byword is pretty much the word by means next to it, something that describes something but not really tell you what it is. It's not a full description. So the word black is an adjective. Right? Does black tell you what nation you come from, what country you came from? the ethnicities of your forefathers and foremothers. Does it tell you that? No, it's a byword that was impressed upon us when we came here to the Americas because of the social classism that was created prior to us being taken into the transatlantic slave trade. All right, so we use that because that's how we're identified, you know, across the world as we've been scattered by it. But it's also the hue or the melanin element of those of us in the diaspora, because that is something that the world knows us by as Black people, right? So we have it there as a representative of that, all right? So green is the chosen land of our ancestors that was lost due to their captivity that we would eventually restore to, and that's why we have the green here. So it's kind of similar to Marcus Garvey. Red was the blood of their ancestors that was spilled. Black is the color of the people, and green has to do with the land that they were taken from, which is Africa. So at KHM, we identify Northeast Africa. Israel's on an African tectonic plate, so that's part of the continent of Africa. That's what our position is in regards to that, all right? So that's the reason why we have those three colors. Now, in regards to the symbols, the lines represent the royal strength of Yah's kingdom to come, and that's why we have two lines there, because it places double emphasis on something. So in Hebrew, you have, in the Hebrew language, you have what's called the PL stem. The PL stem is the intensive action, and it's the doubling of the middle consonant. So Hebrew is a triconsonantal root, which most words come from. That means there's three consonants is the root of a lot of the conjugation of those verbs or nouns. And the middle consonant in the PL stem, which is the intensive action, is always doubled. So whenever you double something, it brings additional emphasis to something. And that's why we have the two lines there, okay? The man is blowing the shofar, like my brother said, representing the heralding of Yah's kingdom to his people. And the book represents the Torah, which is the cultural literature that connects us, all right? The circles represent culture, community, and autonomy that surrounds us and keeps us within our purpose. Culture, our objective is to restore and reconstruct and restore the culture that was lost or taken from us. The second thing is, with that information, create a more close-knit community, and through the community, we create autonomy, which is self-governance, all right? And these are the things that other ethnic groups utilize and why we're at a deficit and that they're at an advantage, right? But we're trying to shift that tide, all right? All right, so let's get into this element of it. So those of us out here who came out here that do identify as being Israel, what I want to do is I want to inspire people to know that the actual culture forces you, not forces you, but inspires you, instructs you to be active in the community, right? So this is no slight to Israelites that you may see on the street corner. You know, how many of y'all see Israelites on the street corner preaching and stuff like that, right? So a lot of them out here in LA too, and in other places, Long Beach. I know there's some San Bernardino, did I say that right? San Bernardino, in other areas, they're out there, right? So that's one thing, and that's okay, that's cool, right? Y'all want to go out there and do it, that's fine. The street preachers who are Christians do the same thing, right? However, what's the next step after that? After you tell somebody, you're Israelite, now what? What do you do next? Anybody, can anybody tell me what you do next once you find that out? Anybody that identifies as an Israelite here, what do you do next? Okay, you're an Israelite. All right, you're connected to the people in this text. All right, that's great. Okay, I keep the statutes and commandments. All right, cool. Now what? What's the next step? Nobody has an answer? What's the next step? Yeah.
You end up
So that, you say what?
You end up here.
You say you end up here. Facts. I like that. All right, that's cool. That's cool. So the next step is come together.
What's the word? Network.
Yeah. So you come together to do what? To become more autonomous and to affect the state of affairs in your community. And I'm going to show you what these individuals were doing when they were scattered. They was not sitting down waiting for Jesus. They wasn't doing that. They wasn't sitting down just letting everything happen around them and not getting involved. They were not doing that. So when I see people in our community, Israelite community, who are not being active, it bothers me, because their mentality is they're so defeated that the only thing you can do is protest. Protest means you're speaking about adverse actions that have happened to your community. That's why brothers on the street corner. But once the protest is done, now what? What do you do next? Gather, come together. Okay, to do what? To do what? Fix a societal ill, so we have a buffer. So what's a buffer? Anybody know what the term buffer means? What's a buffer?
Like a protection or a guard.
Towards something, so it can either buy you time or keep you within the bounds of something, so that way if you do overstep it, you have that kind of safety net before you actually trip over and you transgress, right? So what I want to show people is that if you identify as an Israelite, you should be in the community putting in that work. That's it. When I say put in that work, I'm not just saying just to do what our brothers on the street corners do. I'm talking about actually affecting policy, helping out and assisting with the economics, bringing down the crime rate, making sure that we are living long. I told you the black man is here. How do we get the black man from down here all the way up here? Right? And then he can then bring up his family and his significant others and bring us to this point right here. See, sometimes the mentality of our people is stuck on what's called Deuteronomy 28, 15 and 68. How many of y'all heard about that if you're Israelites in here? I hear that preached all the time, and that makes me sick to my stomach. Why does that make me sick? It may not make you sick, but why does that make me sick? Somebody take a guess.
What is that scripture again?
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 15 to 68. Curses, right? Oh, curses, man. See, this is why we can't do this. This is why the white man is doing this, and this is why this. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Saying all of this, but then I said, wait, you're saying what? The statute, laws, and commandments. Hold on. So now I go back up to verse 1. Like, okay, verse 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Why y'all ain't getting this? Hold on. Y'all telling me you're keeping the Torah, but yet you're still getting these so-called curses. And that word curse is a bad word. It should really be a consequence. But when you hear that word curse, it's a bad idea because you got things like the Hamitic hypothesis. And I don't know. How many of y'all know what the Hamitic hypothesis is? Raise your hand. So that word curse is bad. It shouldn't be that. And that's just the way it's translated when you are dealing with the Judeo-Christian worldview. They had that word curse there. That's a bad translation. I would never use that word. Because if you think you're cursed, then you're going to think, oh man, who put this curse on us? God put this curse on us. So this is why we're in the condition we're in. We can't do nothing about it. So now you have rendered yourself powerless and you've put yourself in a state where you're just going to go along with whatever happens. You're just going to go with it. You have no power to fight back. What that does is that it absolves people of obligation and responsibility to do something. And therefore your oppressors are happy. Oh, we don't care if y'all preach on the street corner. You ain't going to do nothing. That's all you're doing is make a little noise. We don't care about that. You're not changing nothing in the community. No policies are changing in your favor. No economics is being brought in. You're not taking over the politics, anything. So we don't care. Go ahead and do that. They're not scared of people who protest. They're scared of people who have power. So if you are saying you're following this culture and you're supposed to be entitled to so-called blessings or benefits, then where's your power at? Why would anybody want to subscribe to some deity if they can't see the power demonstrated through you? That's a weak God. I don't want that. I'm just saying. Because if you go to Deuteronomy chapter 30, he says, even the places where I've driven you into exile, these blessings and curses shall follow you. That means you should have blessings when you're in exile. Because when you wake up and you understand what you need to do and you get active and get to work, there's benefits for doing so. And then he'll intervene. If you believe in the supernatural, he will intervene. But you got to put your hand to the plow and you got to put the work in first. A lot of times I taught about prayer. How many of y'all see my video on prayer? And I explain what prayer is. Does anybody know? Raise your hand. I went into meditation as well. Well, when you pray, people think it's the Western forms. Oh, please, God, do this for me. And God, I want this. That's not prayer. Prayer is proseuchomai in Greek. Pros means the motion forward. Euchomai means the will of. Bend towards the will. Motion towards the will of whoever you're catering to. Palau in the Hebrew literally means to decide or judgment. So not only you bend towards the will, but you're allowing yourself to be judged by the deity, meaning that the parts of you that is not conform to the will that the deity has intended for you is going to be removed. So you're putting up an appeal. The same way you think about court, if a judgment is rendered against you in court, you can go and get a what if you don't agree with it? An appeal. That's what prayer is. That means a particular decision has been meted out. It's unfavorable to you because you can't perform your duties or actions or whatever. So what you're doing is going to the judge, putting up an appeal for the judge to divert away from that initial path of judgment into something that is more favorable towards you. But in this case, it's more favorable towards the intention of the deity. What does the deity expect from us? And because of my actions, I've created consequences that are hindering me from performing to my fullest potential. So we're trying to overcome that. So when you get out of the Western mindset of what that means and get back into its intention, go into the language and the culture, it changes everything. Because now it's not about you asking for the things that you want. If you pursue the intentions of the deity, then everything will be added to you. And this is in almost any spiritual culture. If you think about, let's say, Odinani in Igbo culture, or Ifa in Yoruba culture. Have you ever heard about these things before? When they're not in Ifa? Well, it's the same thing. When you go get a reading from a Babalawo or a priest or whatever the case may be, you're inquiring of things that are going on with you, and now you're doing it towards a particular deity, and the deity say, I'll be more than happy to do that. However, I need you to come into covenant with me. So normally an animal sacrifice, you make a sacrifice, and then there's a requirement of the deity before they can give you the things that you want, because the deity wants to perform things in the earth as well. So it has to be a two-way contract. It's the same thing in the scriptures and the text, right? A lot of times you get into this mindset, things that you want, and the things that you want are not beneficial to others. It makes you selfish and not selfless. But when you bend toward his will of the deity, the benefit is for all the people in which he has covenant with. It changes everything, okay? So anybody has their Bible? What's the time check? Are we at 8:30 yet?
5 minutes.
Okay, almost. Okay, so I'm gonna finish this part first. Are you hungry, or you can wait till the rest of this for another maybe 20 minutes? Let me know. If you're hungry, let me know. I could break and we can go eat. Okay, so Tiba, okay. So somebody bring up 1 Kings chapter 17 for me. I need a reader. Read! Who's gonna read for me? I need a reader. Strong voice. Come on, are you gonna read? Oh man, anybody wanna read 1 Kings chapter 17? Verse 5. And if whoever's reading it, you can stand up and read loud so we can all hear you. You got it. Yeah, no.
It says 17:5?
Yes.
All right, 1 Kings 17:5. So he went and did according unto the word of Yahuwah, where he went and dwelt by the brook of Cherith, that is before the Jordan, the Jordan. And the ravens brought him bread and flesh.
That's 2 Kings chapter 17.
Oh, I thought you said 1 Kings.
No, 2 Kings chapter 17.
All right, 17:5?
Yes.
All right. Then the king of Asher came up throughout all the land and went up to Shomron and besieged it 3 years.
Okay, Shomron is also representative of what we call Samaria, which is the capital of the northern kingdom, all right? And go to verse, you're not done. Verse 7 and 8.
All right, 7 and 8. Mm-hmm. For so it was that the children of Yasharah had sinned against Yahuwah Elohim, which had brought them up out of the land of Mitzrayim, from under the hand of Pharaoh, the king of Mitzrayim. And he had feared other Elohim, and walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom Yahuwah cast out from before the children of Yasharah, and all the kings of Yasharah, which he had made.
That's verse 8?
Yeah.
Okay, and verse 15.
15?
Uh-huh.
All right. And they rejected his statutes, his covenant that he had cut with their fathers.
Covenant, keep going.
His testimonies which he had testified against them, they followed vanity and became vain. And they went after the heathen that were round about them, concerning whom Yahuwah had charged them, that they should not do like them.
Okay, verse 18 to 20.
Right. Therefore, Yahuwah was very angry with Yasharah, and removed them out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Yehudah only. Also, Yehudah did not guard the commandments of Yahuwah Elohim, but walked in the statutes of Yasharah, which they made.
Okay, you stop there. So pretty much what I'm showing you is the northern tribe that settled in north of Canaan, south of Syria, modern day Syria or Aram. They had broke the covenant with their patron deity, and as a result, they have removed themselves out of the jurisdiction of his protection and provision, and now subject to the hands of their enemies that they were warring with. And that's the northern tribes, all right? So they were taking out the land, all right? And resettled in area of Babylon, and then Gentiles were resettled in Samaria. We learned about that as well. All right, so that's what happened to the northern tribes. Now the southern tribes, we're gonna see what happened with them. Somebody get 2 Kings chapter 25, verses 8 to 12. You can go again if you want.
All right. So 25, 8
Yep.
to 12. And in the 5th month, on the 7th day of the month, which is the 19th year, King Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babel, came to Nevar-Ardan, captain of the guard, a servant of the king of Babel, unto Jerusalem. And he burnt the house of Yahuwah, and the king's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem. And every great man's house burnt he with fire. And all the army of the Chaldeans
that were with the captain of the guard broke down the walls of Jerusalem round about. Now the rest of the people that were left in the city, and the fugitives that fell away to the king of Babel, with the remnant of the multitude, did Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, carry away. But the captain of the guard left the poor of the land to be vine dressers and husbandmen. And the pillars of brass that were in the house of Yahuwah, and all the bases and the brazen sea that was in the house of Yahuwah, did the Chaldean break into pieces and carried the brass of them into Babel. And the pots and the shovels and the snuffers and the spoons and all the vessels of brass wherewith they ministered took they away. And the fire pans and the bowls and such things that were of gold and silver, in silver, the captain of the guard took away.
What verse is that?
That's 15.
Oh, okay, you done. All right. Yeah, you done. So, and then the correlating text is Jeremiah 52, 26 to 30, which you can read on your own time, but it correlates with this and tells you the amount of Judeans that were taken into Babylonian captivity, right? So I just wanted to show you that for those of us that subscribe as Israelites, that the northern tribes, southern tribes were taken out of the land because of their disobedience and for them voiding the contract that they had with their patron deity, whose job was to provide them provision and protection, as well as other statutes and ordinances in order to maintain their residency in the land, right? So they violated that, so therefore he allowed them to be taken out of the land. The poor still stayed, but the middle class, upper class, they were removed out the land, okay? So when they went into exile, what I'm proposing is that the Israelites were carrying out culture, community, and autonomy while they were in exile. So when they were taken into exile, what do you think they were doing when they was in exile? You think they were sitting there saying, man, why this happened to me? These curses are on top of me. We can't do nothing now. We're gonna have to sit here and wait for some kind of divine intervention to happen. What do you think happened? What do you think happened when they got taken into captivity? What do you think they were doing?
Jeremiah.
No, don't look up, Jeff.
Okay.
Just take a guess. The brother's very attentive there. Take a guess. Anybody? What do you think they were doing?
Praying.
Praying. Okay, that's one thing. What else? Okay, well, that's all they were doing. They were done. You know what I'm saying? So that's a good point. So they was following a letter they received. Somebody get Jeremiah chapter 29. They were given instructions on what to do while they were in exile. You got it? You start verse 1. Verse 1 to 7.
Now these are the words of the letter of Jeremiah the prophet, sent from Jerusalem unto the residue of the elders which were carried away captives.
Elders, who else?
Elders which were carried away captives, and to the priests, and to the prophets,
and the prophets, and who else?
And to all the people whom Nebuchadnezzar had carried away captive from Jerusalem to Babylon.
So slow down. So this letter was written to everybody. So now that hierarchy that they had when they were in the land, it's not there no more. So this letter is written to everybody. Keep going. No, yeah, read the rest.
After that, Josiah the king and the queen and the Eunuchs, the princes of Judah and Jerusalem, and the carpenters and the smiths were departed from Jerusalem by the hand of Elisha, the son of Shaphan, and Gemariah, the son of Hilkiah, whom the king of Judah sent into Babylon to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, saying, thus saith the Lord of
Okay, this is an instruction from the patron deity. What did he say to them?
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, unto all that are carried away.
All that are carried, not just one group, everybody. And they told you everybody, right? Go ahead.
I have caused to be carried away from Jerusalem unto Babylon. Build ye houses.
Slow down. Build houses. You hear that? My brother, you said you build houses, right?
I'm hearing the clear.
He said what? Wait, hold on. So they was taken out of the land, brought into another place, and then now they thought they were just going to sit there and wait or just accept their fate. He was like, oh, wait, we got to write a letter to these guys. They're going to get lazy. Okay? So let's write a letter. Wrote a letter to them, and it says what? Build houses. And dwell in them. What else?
And plant gardens.
Plant gardens. How many of y'all, wait, slow down. How many of y'all have a garden in your backyard? Raise your hand. Okay, so some people say, well, I'm in a house. How many of y'all have an herb garden on your windowsill? Raise your hand. You ain't got no excuse. All right, there's a Whole Foods right down the street. You can go grab one from right there and plant it, water it yourself. All right, so build houses. How many of you know how to build a house? Now, one benefit I like about Sukkot is it taught me how to build a sukkah, which is a booth that you can dwell in. Even before that, a friend had a construction business, and he was out there building houses and skyscrapers and all that. He told me the foundations of how to do that. This was years ago before I even got into the truth. And now I realize how important that is for self-sufficiency. That's important. Because, you know, everybody in here can build houses. I'm going to tell you what kind of house you can build. How many of you heard of hemp houses? Raise your hand. How many of you heard of container houses? Raise your hand. Oh, more people. How many of you heard of earth ships? Raise your hand. These are all houses you can build. Did you know that? You can get about 10 people and build that in about a month or two. Did you know that? You can build these houses. This brother right here said he in construction. He said he built houses. How come we ain't got none of those? Because you know what's important about that is that if you have raw, unapproved, what's raw or unapproved land? You hear that term raw land or unapproved land, what does that mean? Free. No, not free. Say it again. No utilities, no infrastructure, no pipes run underneath, no wires going above, none of that. It's just raw land. You can clear that raw land after you purchase it and build these self-sustainable homes that take care of itself. And these homes are made out of 75% recyclable material. That means you can go right to the recycling entity, I don't know where it's at here in LA, and say, hey, I need these items. And guess what? They give it to you for free. You know why? Because it lessens the burden off the city to kind of break and process those things down. 75% of recycled material you can use to make these houses. You can get a container. They have these container yards everywhere. Go get a container and build a house. Hemp houses might be a little bit more challenging, but the earth ship and the container houses, you can buy land and build those on it. And that way you don't have no pipes running underneath, which means you have lower property taxes. Did you know your property taxes are high because you have utilities that are regulated by the state and federal government running through there? Did you know that? If you remove that, you don't have that. You have no dependency on utility companies because you supply your own electricity, you supply your own water, and then you have garden in there where you can eat your own food. If you're a pescatarian, you can grow your own fish. You know, if you eat meat, carnivore, then you can grow little chickens and ducks or whatever you want to grow in that area. The house warms itself, it cools itself, and recycles its own water. How many of you know about these things? Raise your hand. How many know you can build these things? It doesn't take a long time. The blueprints are out there. There's several of these that's out. Actually, I think that the closest one that I know of, there's some in Arizona and Nevada. They have communities that are like that. Even out in Georgia, there's a community like that where it's nothing but earth ships. Meaning that they just took a plot of land and just built their own pubs, their own institutions, their own houses, and they got to worry about no wires, no cables, little to no regulation in those areas. Build houses, plant vineyards or make gardens and eat from them. That's self-sufficiency. This is what they're being told to do. There's a letter written to them. Okay, keep going.
Take ye wives and beget sons and daughters.
Take wives, beget sons and daughters. Go ahead.
And take wives for your sons.
And
so give your daughters to husbands.
This is being able to raise kids together so that they're familiar with each other within a community, and we can continue to keep our seed going. Our seed is being, I don't know, degraded, devalued, or whatever the case would be. The Most High says, marry amongst each other, raise your sons and daughters together, so that way they can marry within, so we can maintain that seed that's being diluted. Okay, what else? Keep going.
That they made their sons and daughters, that ye may increase their.
Slow down. That you may what? Be increased there and what? And not diminished. We've done it at a high rate in our community. Very high rate. The Most High wants us to increase in these areas. So we build a house, plant the vineyard. We have a shelter over our head, self-sustainable. We have our food that we're growing for ourselves. We're taking our children, keeping them amongst each other so they can be familiar with each other, will grow up, raise up, marry amongst each other so they can increase and not decrease. And what else?
And not diminish.
You keep going.
Oh, and seek the peace.
Wait a second. Here we go. And what?
Seek the peace of the city.
Seek the what?
Peace of the city.
Seek the peace of the city. Wait. Hold on. Slow down. He said to seek the peace. What's that word for peace there? Shalom. So why would the Most High tell them to seek the peace of the city? That's interesting. I'm trying to see if I see a whole bunch of Israelites doing that. What's he saying there when he says, seek the peace of the city? Somebody tell me what you think he means there.
He finishes it.
Oh yeah, he does, but I'm just trying to see. If you just hear that alone, seek the peace of the city, what comes to mind?
Harmony.
Harmony, what else?
Balance.
Okay.
No violence.
No violence, what else?
Justice.
Justice, what else?
Unity.
Unity, what else?
Equality.
Equality, what else?
Equity.
Hold on. Are we out there doing that? Are y'all doing that in the community right now? Now, some of y'all getting quiet. It's okay. We're going to give you an impetus so that you can accomplish that. All right? So if you don't know, we're going to show you how we do it. All right? So seek the peace of the city. Keep going. Uh-huh.
I have caused you to be carried away.
Which I caused you to be carried away. All right.
To the Lord for in the peace thereof shall ye have peace.
Slow down. So, in the Hebrew, it's Wade Dersu et Shalom Ha'ir Asher, which means Wade Dersu means to seek the peace of the city. It's an imperfect that means a continuous action. That means perfect means a completed action. It's a continuous action. And it's in the cow stem, which means a simple action, it means seek. Look to do something. We go further into that, we can see what the root of the word is. And the word is darash, and darash means to resort to seek, to care for something, to inquire, to investigate, to question, to search out, to search carefully, to consult, to demand. Interesting. That's deep. Okay. So, way desir, dersu, which means to seek the peace of the city. Et salom, et is the direct object marker, meaning to seek what? Directly the peace of Ha'ir, the city. The definite article Ha'ir means the city. Asher, which means where. Now you have this word higleti. So in the Hebrew, you have the causative stem in the verb, which means the action that's being done, the subject is causing it to happen. So when the Israelites disobeyed, the Most High didn't just grab them and take them out. He caused them to be carried into captivity by utilizing Nebuchadnezzar in the south and by using the Assyrian kings in the north. So he caused the action to happen, right? Where he brought you there, but the key word there is wehit palu, which is the word we hear, the word pray. That's not what it means. When somebody says to pray, what comes to mind when you hear that word pray? Not P-R-E-Y, P-R-A-Y. Somebody says, and pray. First, what do you think in your mind? What comes to mind when you think about that? If you didn't know what the real word means in the original language, what do you think came to mind when you think about that?
Get down on your knees.
So God, please, I need you to do this. That's not what that means. The root word for that is, I said the word halal, but it means to intervene, to interpose, to intercede. Wait a second. So you tell me it's not getting on my knees in my house with my hands clasped, looking up in the sky, my eyes closed, saying, God, God, God. It's actually get to work. Intervene, interpose, intercede, take action. That's what it means. Bad translation. But it's there to keep you docile, passive, keep you inactive. Works that way, right? Because you ain't got to get involved. And they can continue to do what they want to do and beat you down to a pulp. Okay. So to intervene on the city's behalf to the Most High. So we go back and think in the social memory of the culture of the people, and they're thinking back to the oral traditions of an eponymous ancestor by the name of Abraham. And in the situation where Abraham and Lot was in Sodom and Gomorrah. And what did Abraham pray? Well, if you think about what he did, the word there is pray, but what did he do? What was he entreating the patron deity that he covenanted with? What did he say to the patron deity about Lot being Sodom and Gomorrah? What was the conversation? Anybody know about that story? Yes.
He was basically talking to God because God wanted to destroy the city because it was wicked.
And then what he said?
He was asking them, would you destroy the city if there were this many people?
Facts. Hold on, slow down. So now he's entreating the patron deity because he knows his nephew, who Most High said, leave your family, but he brought him anyway. Some of y'all missed that. So he brought him anyways. He became a liability. So now the liability is in a city that is wicked, and the Most High is going to render judgment. But now he is interceding on behalf of the city to the deity to say, if you find 20, 30, 40, 50, one righteous person, will you spare that city? And what occurred? Buffering before destruction. So there was a time period that was given for action to take place of that righteous person in that city before judgment is rendered against them. We're in that buffering time right now. Okay? The problem is we're not interceding on behalf of the city to the Most High to stay judgment off until we wake up our people, get them in an autonomous or set apart state. So now when the judgment is rendered, we can rely on each other and not be affected by how this system is being destroyed, tumbling upon itself. You're about to see something crazy happen in 2021 because of this election. I mean, tumult and turmoil, we ain't seen nothing yet. Did you know there was a million MAGA march out in DC today? While we sitting here right now, 1 million Trump supporters marching on DC. And they said, if Trump does not win the election, they're gonna turn up. Now, how many of y'all know what that term means? Turn up in Ebonics. What does turn up mean in Ebonics? Anybody? That means we're gonna tear down these cities, man. So what are we gonna do as Israelites? What you gonna do? You call yourself Israelite, what you gonna do when this happens? Pray. Wait, hold on. What you pray? Go get in your prayer closet on your knees, clap your hands, and say, God, please do something. What y'all wanna do? Are you fortifying your homes? Are you buying arms? Because you know Torah says eye for an eye. Yeah. But some of y'all been too docile about that. Some of y'all translate Matthew chapter 5 when Yeshua was talking about Beatitudes, when he says, turn the other cheek. How many of you heard that? Turn the other cheek. Do y'all understand the context of turn the other cheek, what that means? Slave masters have been using that for a long time to keep the slave docile. They took it out of context. Who was the immediate audience? This is called hermeneutics. Identify who the speaker is. Who's the immediate audience? Who was Yeshua talking to when he gave the Beatitudes? His people. His people. He wasn't talking to no Romans. He ain't talking to no Gentiles. He was talking to his people. So if he's talking to his people, and we got to go back and think about the culture they had, which is in Torah. He said, what? Somebody bring up that verse real quick. Turn the other cheek. I need to deal with this real quick. Somebody bring it up, because that has been the detriment of our community for a long time. That has been a big issue, because that's why we ain't doing nothing.
What verse?
I forget the verse. I should know this, but I forgot it off the top of my head. So I'm relying on y'all. It's an open book text. Anybody can find it. Just skim through it. You can find it. Pick it up. You gotta get rid of this mentality.
I know, just to add on to that.
Yes, sir.
Because I teach African American studies at college. Malcolm X says, this is in the book, the ballad or the book, he says, stop singing and start swinging. And that's what it kind of reminds me that we really, I mean, I said this at UCLA in 2015 when we were just, some of us were starting to wake up. I said, man, we got to completely come out of white supremacy, and we got to just rebuild completely from the ground up.
Correct.
How we deal with each other, how we talk to each other, how we just, I mean, we have to just completely
And I'm gonna tell you this, when I was a Christian, I never identified white supremacy. That's a big problem. Reason why is because, how many of y'all read a book by Dr. Joyce DeGruy called Post-Traumatic Slave Disorder, PTSD? Raise your hand. If you have not read it, you need to read that book. What institutions were created for African Americans after they came out of slavery to repair the mental and physical conditions and spiritual conditions that they were harmed by coming out of slavery? What institution was designed to heal us and to fix us and to repair us? What institution was created? Anybody? Raise your hand.
None.
Tuskegee? Does somebody say that? No, that's not what that was there for. Anybody? It wasn't there. So how do you take a disfranchised people that's been beaten, that's been used and abused, that's been disconnected from their language, their culture, etc., even though there were some Africanisms and stuff like that that still pervade amongst the people, but how do you take a people like that and restore them? You said you want to vote. That's what you want. You want to vote? That's not restoring you. You gotta be in a condition of having equity before you can have equality.
That's it.
What is equity?
Money.
Not just money.
Well, yeah.
Having a stake in something, equal amount of stake. So that way you can now compete with the same resources that other neighboring ethnic groups have. If you're not given equity, you can't ask for equality. How does that work? So that's like saying, okay, so disenfranchised blacks, you ain't got no inheritable wealth, so nothing's being passed, no generational wealth is being given to you. You're not given any land, and the land that, actually that we had asked for, the 40 acres in the mule, go back and research that. They did get that. How many of you know that they got that? And then it was taken away from you. Did you know that? It was, yeah, you got to research that. So the first thing they asked was land and the vote. That's what the slaves were asking for after they was freed. They had the abolitionists coming down the South. We want land and we want to vote. Because once we get the land, we want to vote who we want to have over us to control the resources that we have here. So if you don't have any schooling, education, because you just come out of slavery, you have no land, you have no property, and then you tell somebody, okay, so now what I'm going to do is take you and this white guy over here has generational wealth, has land, has property, has education, and now I'm going to give y'all the opportunity to get the same job. Who do you think is going to get that job? Who do you think is going to get that job? That white person that have all this history, or this black guy? Who do you think is going to get the job? Because we asked for affirmative action. That don't mean nothing. Affirmative action don't mean nothing. Did you think affirmative action really is our form of reparation? Y'all think that? Man, that's crazy. So, and you can just tell statistically looking at the jobs that we have as a people and how far of a ceiling that we hit when we try to move up in rank. It's extremely difficult. So equity gives you all the resources, the information and knowledge and so forth, so that way you can be on an equal playing field. And now it's like, okay, so now we got everything that you got. Now let's go see who's better. So we didn't ask for equity. Well, we did. It was taken from us. But we just kept wanting to be equal. We wanted to be recognized as a human being by a system that continuously demeans us as being humans. They objectify us on TV all the time. We're a commodity now that they use for selling goods. Black people are fashionable. Put a black person on it, it's going to sell. Why? Because that swag they see that we have is something that was handed down to us epigenetically by our ancestors, and we've never had the opportunity to actually bring it into fruition and walk it out. So, seek the peace of the city to what? Oh, I'm sorry. You see that? I'm all of now. Thank you for keeping me accountable. Matthew 5. Let's read it.
All right. You have heard that it has been said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth.
Now slow down. Where is that said at? In Torah. So obviously there's a context. Are you following me here? He's making a reference to something that deals with these people culturally. If I'm a Roman ethnically, that don't deal with me. If I'm a Gentile, it has nothing to do with me because I ain't found that's not part of my culture. He's not talking to those people. Keep going.
But I say unto you that ye resist not evil. Whosoever shall smite thee.
And see, you're reading the KJV, right? Okay, some of those words we have to deal with, but I'm gonna let you read it in that and I'll explain it. Keep going.
But I said, but whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also.
Okay, this is an idiom. What does an idiom mean? Anybody? What's an idiom? It's a cultural expression, all right? Sometimes not being meant to take in literally, right? It's a cultural expression that a culture understands by way. If I say Sally kicked the bucket, what does that mean? Yeah. That's an idiom. If I say that food is finger licking good, what does that mean? It's delicious, right? These are idioms. Now, if you live in this culture, you'll understand those things, right? You'll be able to pick them up, right? However, if you're not part of the culture, obviously, there's certain things you don't have a content. So, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, that's in the Torah, who's followed by those indigenous people. Israelites, right? Now he's saying, but don't resist if there's a dispute. That word evil there is bad translation. But it says what? If somebody smites you on the cheek, do what? That means if adversary. So the Torah deals with adversarial situations. For example, me and you have a beef, and we go our separate ways, and you see my donkey tied up somewhere. What are you supposed to do? And we got wait. So we got a beef. We got an issue. I'm already beefing with you, so we become an adversary. We become enemies now. Black people, sometimes the enemies can be our own family members. Well, Yeshua said the same thing. Okay, see, you got to connect things. So we have a beef, we have an issue. My donkey, my car, whatever, is stuck somewhere, and you see it. What are you supposed to do? Say, oh, no, I got beef with that dude. I ain't doing nothing. Supposed to do what? retrieve it and bring it back to your neighbor. That's a hard thing if you got a problem with somebody. Like, yo, that dude owed me $200. You telling me I see somebody take his car and he been avoiding me and supposed to go in and bring his car back? Nah, I ain't doing that. You lost that self-love. You lost that love towards one another. But the Torah teaches you that love. See, everybody thinks it starts in the New Testament. That's incorrect. The text in Leviticus tells you to love your neighbor as you love yourself. So sometimes you may get mad at yourself for making decisions, right? Well, think about brother or sister as part of yourself. And what? Turn the cheek. That means, all right, I got an issue with this dude. I want to pop off on him or spaz, but I'm going to let it slide. Now, somebody translate that to me from Ebonics to proper English. What did I just say in layman's terms? There you go. Look at that. You see how simple this is? We can make it real simple so kids can pick it up. Sometimes I'm from New York. I have a New York slang accent. Sometimes I understand that. So sometimes I try to translate the things that I'm saying. So now I have an issue with somebody. We have a beef. And I'm like, yo, typically I would just start swinging. But that's my brother, so I'm going to let it slide. That's what it means, turn the cheek. My brother, who has the same cultural disposition as me, because the context says what? If you heard it said, eye for eye, tooth for a tooth. But now he's trying to put emphasis on the brotherly love part. That's still your kin. That's still your brother. Black people, we don't have love for our people like that. We love the adversary more than we love our own people. When you go put a child in school, I'm sorry, I know I deviate a little bit, but if you put a child in school, a black child in school, and you put them in social studies, they'll learn about every other ethnic group. When they come to you, oh, shoot, you was a slave. That's how your family got. Europeans, look at this great culture they have. The Chinese, look what they did over here. The East Indians, look what they did. Oh, y'all were slaves, man. How you start a child off like that? Like a slave? Like, oh my God. Yeah, y'all just came over here because you had nothing to do in Africa.
For us, yeah, they put one in place, but it wasn't for that reason. It was to keep their foot on you.
Facts. So you came over here from Africa because now they have books that saying that we were migrants. We came over here looking for work of our own volition. No, there's books out there. This is a parent who captured this textbook, social studies, from her 5th grade, I think it was, and it was teaching about, African American history, and it says that Africans came over here by their own volition, that means voluntarily, looking for labor, like an immigrant. Yeah, that's what they teach into the children now. But you say they talk about us, but they said African Americans, their ancestors came over here as migrants looking for work. That's it. And they turning all the atrocities that happened to us into a myth, to a byword, to things that you may have heard from old wives' tales or something like that. It's not true. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna erase that history soon. But anyway, facts. Because now the problem is black people are, according to white supremacy, are getting too many passes. But if we take away their history and we raise up other generations to disregard that history, then after a while, the reparations conversation comes off the table, right? That equity conversation comes off the table. You say, yo, we're migrants, just like everybody else. Think about it. 60 years from now, our great-great-grandchildren being told that we were migrants. Nobody's going to be asking for any reparations. Why even march or protest? For what? There's no continuity to your ancestors being abused for you to even do that. History's going to be rewritten. You're going to start seeing movies with Malcolm X as a white guy. Martin Luther King being a white guy. They made memes about this. How many of you have seen those memes about that? That's what's going to happen. They already did that to Africa. If you go look at Egypt, ancient Egypt movies, they white. You feel me? You go into Bible characters, they all white. People of color. Forget the fact that Moses put his hand in his bosom, took it out, was white. Never mind that. But that's what they do. So through their subtlety, this is how they operate. So when we read text like that, we have to interpret it within its context to understand that somebody has used this adversarially against us and it was taken out of context. So now you think you got to turn on the cheek when white people beat up your people and they come into your neighborhood and gentrify. Okay, I'm going to turn on the cheek and just go pray. The text never says that. Nope. So you've been deceived. So we're going to stop there. So let's move on. So now when they was brought out, they went into captivity. They were given instructions to be active. Now, there's the rest of it from 7 to 14 I'll read, but I'm not going to read today. I'm going to skip that for time. So now they did these things, and if you go into the Elephantine Pack Ride, which was the northern tribes, lived on the island of Elephantine. Anybody heard of the island of Elephantine? It's in Egypt, one of the lower cataracts of Egypt, almost bordering Sudan. It's an island within a river, right? We have that in Georgia, in the Chattahoochee River. there's Island Ford or Ford Island. And it's an island inside the river. That means it's a piece of land with water that's surrounded. It's an actual island, right? So on that island, what happened was Egypt never had a standing army. When Persians took over, they also took over a lot of the policies and things, operations that the Egyptians were doing. And what they were doing was they were hiring mercenaries. And what they did was they created a mercenary community on that island. And some of those people that they drafted were Israelites, right? Also people from Syria, from the north, and other groups as well. And what they did was they stationed there and said, look, if you fight in our army, if there's a war, and we need to call on you for a draft, we'll give you a piece of land, you can settle your family on it, and you can even worship your own God, we don't care, or do your cultural actions. So what happens is we go to the L-15 Papyri. A lot of people don't even think about the Passover letter, but there's an entire litany of text that was captured about day-to-day life where these people were autonomous. They were taking over their own politics. They were marrying amongst each other. They were building their own houses, planting their own vineyards, getting active in regards to the economics of the community. This is what they were doing in exile. If you go here to the Al-Yahudu tablets, Al-Yahudu just means city of Judah. It was a place called City of Judah that was in Babylon to where they was brought into exile. And if you go back and read these tablets, a lot of these were receipts that they had Chaldean secretaries that was capturing receipts of purchases of land. They were buying land out there. They were building houses out there. They was increasing their families, getting involved in politics and economics. This is what they were doing in captivity, in exile, because they received instructions to be active. So why we don't see that happening right now in our community? What's going on? There's a complete disconnect from the culture. Complete disconnect. If you have somebody else teaching you about your own culture that does not share the same affinity towards you as far as ethnicity, shared experience, history, ancestral continuity, then you got a problem. My children go to a school where they teach them the same principles that I teach them at home. They're not in a secular school. And I'm not saying that everybody else, you have to do the same thing. I'm saying I decided I don't want a system that is not designed for their success to teach them anything. Forget their history. I don't want to teach them math. I don't want you to teach them STEM. I don't want you to teach them none of that. Because what happens is you grade them based on a prototype that is outside of the scope of their ethnic disposition. Black children learn differently than white children. Black children learn differently than East Indian children. Black children learn differently than Arab. So if I'm taking a black child who's normally active by nature, especially black boys, very active, in order for me to look at that behavior and find a way to criminalize it, what I do is I get psychiatrists to create different diseases such as ADHD. That child's too active. He needs to sit down, look at the screen all day. Black children don't learn like that. I know because I have black children. How many have black children? They just don't learn like that, at least not at first. If you force them to do that, what you're doing is disconnecting them from their own indigenous behavior, because they learn by being active and by interacting and through motions and actions. That's how they learn. So you have to create a curriculum that's based around that behavior. If you don't, then now they're going to conform to the same ethnic disposition of the majority group in a society that they're being raised in. That means they're going to go through a process called enculturation, where now it comes to a point where you don't even see their connection to people on other parts of the globe that share the same heritage as them. They look completely different. An example of that is when free slaves were being sent back to West Africa and Liberia. How many of you heard about that? It's a Christian organization that was created that was sending free black slaves, or ex-slaves, or free blacks back to Africa, and they sent them back to Liberia. And when they got a chance to send them there, what do you think they did over there? They what?
The white supremacy that they came out of.
Say that louder, my brother. I don't think they can hear you.
They started to implement the same white supremacy that they came out of, that they were being colonized.
The same thing that the colonizers did to them, they started colonizing the same people there. They saw themselves as different from those people, not the same people. They felt they were more educated. They felt they were more westernized than them. They felt they were more entitled than them. They felt those people should serve them. They started taking their women and marrying them and doing whatever they want to do with them. It was a mess, a huge mess, because there was no institution that was created to repair those people culturally before you integrate them to another society so they can learn the way of their ancestors, So when they go back and see their own people, they'll treat them like they're their own. We wasn't given that. So what we're trying to do with restoring the culture is being able to afford that advantage, so that way we don't emulate our oppressors. We don't emulate the oppression that's happening on us to even our own children. We have to deal with them and handle them much differently. Okay? So they were being active. Here's 2 extra biblical pieces of evidence to validate what I'm saying to you. And you can read this book here. If anybody wants it for the Elephant and Papyri, you can read the evidence in there. And here's more information on the Ali Hudu tablets. If anybody wants these resources, let me know. I can send it to you. All right? And we're going to stop right here. I'm going to break. I'm going to let you get something to eat. But the second part is we're going to go through the operation so you can see how we take that concept and create an organization that can go out in the community and fix the ills that we just finished talking about or elaborating on. All right? So we'll break here. You can go get something to eat. You got about 15 minutes. We're going to go through this. This part is short. This part is about 15 minutes. And once we're done with that, then we can do a breakout session and interact, all right? So you can go take a bathroom break, go grab some food, and we'll be back in about 10, 15 minutes. What's the time count? Somebody give me a time count?
9 to 5.
9 o'clock? Okay,
Oh,
so
5. 9 to 5.
Okay.
So, if it comes up, if they turn up in next year.
We are trying to create these type of unwise or so that way we're able to partnership and resources support. So let's say, for example, I feel like the housing is correct. We hear a bunch of brothers on security who are armed and something. Hey, I want to get some interaction over here to secure my home if people that trust that. Right? So that's what we should be doing, looking out for the widows, the fatherless, the orphans, the single parents. That's our objective as men in our immediate community to make sure that y'all are protected, right? Or if there's some kind of financial issue, let's say there's riots and stores being closed, and certain basic goods you can't get. The brother that does trucking and logistics, he says, hey, the company I work for, they have a surplus of these items that they allow me to take home. Hey, you need some toilet paper. You need some paper towels, you need some candy. Somebody may have a store or a business with several items and make sure that it's not only all the good exchange, this way indoors, your bags, I go to your house, I go to your wife's return, give me these items, those type of parties. You know what I'm saying? So there's ways that when you work together, no matter what happens for security, for economic purposes, for resources, you can do these things despite what's going on outside of our home. You know what I'm saying? So this is why we want to implement this in many places as possible before things start going awry. You know what I'm saying?
I wanted to show something.
Thank you.
I wanted to show something.
Okay.
I have your the website. It's based on Jeremiah 29. You know, so I studied the website. It's a website. Okay, this is our mission. Jeremiah 29.
Wow.
That's
Wait, you created this? Is your website?
It's my website. Yeah. No, I purchased a template.
No, but I'm saying, but this is your creation, though.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's one thing, and the second thing I'm working on is it's on you said it is your like community. So again, based on Jeremiah 29.
Yeah.
So in that way we do a few things.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm working on.
Wow, that's beautiful, brother.
Yeah, based on Jeremiah 29, because I really believe it. You know how they got in the street, they are saying like, America gonna get destroyed. When Jeremiah said, the United is telling us, pray for this city we live in. And pray for it. Expand in because in yes, so the city can be wealthy because we will find one.
Go get peace in the city. So we have to be active. What happened? He gave them that so they could keep active. So once the 70 years was over, then he could bring them out. So now is our period of time to become autonomous, work and do things amongst each other, so that way when the time comes, the judges can get their consent. The objective is not to sit here and wait. The objective is to be active. That's excellent. That's good. I'm gonna give a shout out to that.
Right, and the other thing I think is very important, we have to learn, because that's super vertical farming. know?
Wow.
Because you're talking about your land and you know, yes, and then we'll do vertical farming. And you know, that's a good thing. Yeah, a lot of things. And I mean, I don't know but basically, I'm looking at intentional community, but in a Torah-based, Israeli-based culture. That's what I'm. You know.
You gotta keep talking. You gotta give me your information. Let me give you my number real quick so you can lock it in. And we definitely gotta talk about that.
Yeah, I'll send you my information, and when you have time, you know.
Definitely. Uh, 678-430-3832.
It was in Luca, but I played the post for Carolina.
Play what?
Basketball.
I'll text you my information.
Okay.
And I mean, as you know, like I live downtown since 2003. Our major problem is the homeless.
Yes.
Because I live right downtown, and most of them, I guess we can guesstimate they are our people.
Yeah.
You know, so that's one thing I believe, like us Israelites, we can, you know, at least feed them.
Yeah, feed them, teach them to be self-sustainable, try to find resources that we can then siphon back to them so they can then be responsible for their own welfare. Because I think that the city and state services are so overcrowded. A lot of times they get the short end of the stick and they don't really have anybody coming out there to kind of investigate to see why they're in that condition, to kind of teach them these things. And one thing that we were trying to implement as a program in Atlanta was to bring the homeless into Atlanta and teach them how to create self-sustainable homes on land that we're able to purchase with a grant from the state or community foundation. You know what I'm saying? So that way we can alleviate the homelessness situation, teach them how to build these homes, and then use their labor to help create gardens and other things in the community.
One project I started working on, unfortunately, I put it on hold for now, is I'm involved in the worker co-ops movement. You know, so it's to build a business for the homeless now. You know, because we have the alleys already, we have bumps in the salon and the freeway. So if we create a business for the homeless, and it will be part owners and they will share the profit.
Correct.
So we can work with the city, so it can be the city's preferred contract.
Or we can create a organization where the organization creates this project that can be funded through the city, because this way we'll control it with the grants and resources we get. And like you said, employ them for beautification purposes.
Right.
Parks, highways, or whatever. In exchange, provide housing. Now, we then extend that housing to a plot of land that they can then build their own sustainable homes. They can go there, live, create the gardens and eat, and then go out to work, which is clean up the highways, beautify the parks and stuff like that. So we do stuff like that. We remove the burden off of the city and the state, which means we'll continue to get an endless supply of funds because it saves them money in the long term. And at the same way, we're implementing part of our culture to fix an issue that we see in our community.
Right. So I'll shoot you all the data.
But look, this is the objective: bringing people together like this. So when we have ideas, we have a team behind us that can support those ideas, get them off the ground, and put it in the community. We're going to be the light unto the nations. That means they need to come to us when issues like this happen and say, wait, if I go to that group, they always bring about these ideas or solutions. Let's go to them. Now we're performing whatever the role of duty that the Most High has given us, which is, I'm going to put you above the nations if you keep these statutes, laws, and commandments, which means we must take care of the orphans, the widows, those who are homeless, the poor. That's our obligation. If we start taking care of these things, now he's going to put us right before them, and they're going to come to us saying, well, we need this, we need that, and we'll gather the resources, keep building our community, provide those services, and help our community as a whole. We can do that. But the thing is, when individuals like me and you have these ideas, we need a team to support it.
That's
you might get busy.
That's my ideas are dying, you know? You know, it's like, the homeless idea, it's been sitting there for over a year.
Wow.
You know, it's like, I've had some people like, but they are not as interested as I am. You know, they'll be like, okay, so I create a Facebook page. Okay, yeah, so they become member and that's it.
There's nothing else that's actualized. It's actually going and actually doing the legwork and stuff like that.
I started a cleaning company, right? And I got, our people, black and stuff. I said it's a worker class. I said, I started it, I get the clients, but I want you guys to be part on it. We share the profits and things like that. Bro, it's been 3 years.
Wow.
Nobody's interested.
Yet.
It's like,
Let's say yet.
I guess, yeah, okay.
Because what happens is, one of the objectives of starting this chapter is so that we can have these type of power discussions, put these ideas on the table, have a think tank or turn our group into a think tank where we're brainstorming ideas on how to actualize it, seeing what everybody does, maybe a 9 to 5 on the side that can then contribute to parts of it, and then put that project into action. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we're here. We're taking our paradigm of being Israelites and saying, okay, here's some ideas. How can we take this with all this knowledge here, all these hands available, and actualize it in the community? You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm showing this part. You know what I'm saying? This is why I want to bring this to us, so that way when these ideas come up, team gets behind it, we brainstorm, find out, okay, how to go about it. We put it into a phase 1, 2, 3, 4, end phase, and we go and review the phase and make sure it's working. And then once that project is off the ground, we can then get resources from the government, the state, community foundations, because the scripture says that the wealth of the sinners is laid up for the righteous. So how do we take their wealth and resources, funnel it back into community? Well, we have the paradigm of Torah that can allow us to create these problem-solving solutions that we can then give back to them in exchange, take their wealth and build our community. So there's a way that we can do it. We just need people who are on that same wavelength to sit down, talk, and make it happen. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome. Yeah, I like that.
Yep.
And one last point out there.
Yes, sir.
It's when you were talking about prayer, right? That was a great concept. Now, how you feel about cry out when the scripture talk about cry out to the Most High? Remember in Exodus when
correct.
The Most High was talking, he said, he heard the people cry out to him, and he heard the cry.
Correct.
That's it. So, will you look at cry out as the same concept as a prayer?
No, it's two different things. So crying out means you are entreating for the deity to intervene in an adversarial situation, because if we are persecuted, like Moses says, if the nations find out that you destroy the people, then how would that look about you? And you're covenanting with these people. So when they left out of Egypt, after they cried, the Most High said, I heard their cries. Why? Because he covenanted with their forefather. So his obligation is when the time was full to now take them out. However, after he took them out 40 years, brought them into the land, they settled. During the period of Judges, they kept compromising. And they kept crying out because he was sending groups to oppress them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the crying out is the acknowledgement of wrongdoing, suffering the consequences, and entreating the deity to intervene. Now, this is different than seeking his will and performing. This is, we in trouble, we need help. We need some kind of help. Now, an example of that, good example is Nehemiah chapter 1. I always use that as a formulated prayer. When you go and you examine the way people pray in the text, it's always structured in a particular way. Like one thing they do all the time is they acknowledge their wrongdoing. Another thing they do is acknowledge the wrongdoing of their forefathers and other people in their community who may not have confessed their wrongdoing, right? So they do that in lieu of them doing it themselves. And then after that, they ask for an enabling power, or they ask for the resources to go and perform the act, which the Most High is intending for the people. So if he wants them to go back and build, and we had a situation where because we are being disobedient, we are unable to complete the task, we want him to intervene so that way he could put the right people in place to get people back on one accord so they can perform the assignment that they've been given. You know what I'm saying? So the crying out is the intervention based on oppression, but now once that's done, now you got to seek his will. Okay, now he intervened. He kind of stayed off the enemy a little bit. Now, what do you want us to do in this situation? Right. Now that has been, the distraction has been removed, now what are we supposed to do now that everything is clear? What do you want us to do? And that's how we conform ourselves to
good explanation. Awesome.
So I appreciate it. Thank you for the feedback. Like I said, we gotta, again, purpose of this chapter is to think tank this stuff so that we can get this stuff off the ground and make a difference.
To be honest, first when I knew you were coming, I said I'm gonna come just to thank you, and I'm gonna leave. But now I'm like, and I'm saying, I'm glad I stayed.
Thank you so much for staying. I appreciate it. You want something to eat?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really like what you're doing in the community.
I'm trying. But it's better when I have more people to help. You know what I'm saying?
No.
How you doing, Ken? One that's quick, because I know you're gonna cover about the credit.
Yes.
Now, you heard anything about security department?
So I don't utilize that anymore. So I got to a point in 2015 where I used to follow that strategy with UCC1 and stuff like that, security department, creditor. But I kind of abandoned it. And the reason why is because there's a lot of legal loopholes that nullifies those things in the end. So I found other, I would say, remedies to resolve those issues with credit problems. And I found other ways to circumvent that. I actually did.
No, I kind of started looking for that. There's a lot.
Actually,
it doesn't end. Yeah, it doesn't end. It's a lot. You gotta know a lot of law.
Yes.
Yourself.
Yes. Personally, and you got to be able to represent it. Once you put it on paper.
Right.
Because if you cannot explain the legalese that you're laying down, that's going to nullify your argument. You're just going to say, well, you don't even know what you wrote here.
Yes. If you don't know, that's the thing. You gotta know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and those laws change
all the
every
time.
couple of years.
They change them up because they know they know.
Oh yeah, and they know that we're getting smart about it, and they're like, oh wait, we're gonna slide this in there, slide that in there. So,
but I do like the fact that you separate yourself from not United States citizen. I like that part.
And then I'm
you show control of yourself.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. You make those declarations, you do it on paper, which would be the best way to do it publicly. You go to the courthouse, county clerk, put a declaration of who you are on record. So that way that can follow you and attach you to whatever organization you create. From the organization you create, the organization should have a trust. Where the trust protects the organization and the benefactors from any kind of adversarial laws or judges or whatever.
Now you got to put an agriculture on the land of the house.
Facts. Oh yeah. Yes. And that was something else I was getting into the lien law as well. But a lot of that stuff I advocate only because it was difficult to get somebody interested in that and kind of coach them to kind of get those things off the ground. So they,
I'm not even practicing certain.
So, you know, so this actually, let me show you this real quick. I'll show you It's like at that time, their garments probably like this. So you have to take it for 3 days. That means a lot to you saying it. So if you ever have a conversation in the future, like maybe just talk like online or whatever, I would love you to say, look, man, that's I would want to push our community towards this direction. We can actually build. Like when you was talking, we were gonna fight, argue, going back and forth. You were passionate, but respectful. At the end of the day, I respect your position. I ain't about to hurt you. But now it takes to the next level. Say, bro, I really want to serve you. No, you get your seat about it. All right, everybody, you ready? I'm gonna give you some time. Let's go over this last part real quick, and then we'll have an open session. We can talk and build and stuff like that. Everybody good? Yeah. Everybody back to their seat? All right, let's get started. All right, so in this part right here, what we're gonna do is just be transparent with everybody about how we operate as an organization. If you want any further details, and we do have a draft charter that you can examine. We're still working on that, or at least me, I'm still working on that. However, I can show you a couple of things. If you have any inquiries, we can show you where it's at in our charter. The reason why we're being transparent with this is because I believe that if you're part of an organization and they're not telling you how they run or how they operate, then you need to be skeptical about it. Especially if you're a member of that organization, you should be entitled to see the books to say, okay, what are the resources that's coming in? How is it being allocated? Is it being done responsibly? Do I have access to it? If I'm a member, what are the benefits? What is, yes?
And that's Laura, right?
Yeah, of course.
You know who your leaders are.
So our job is to kind of break down and show y'all how we operate. All right, now I don't know how many of y'all in here may be part of a congregation, a church, organization, or whatever. But have you ever had a sit down where they actually break down to you how they operate, component by component? Have y'all part of any church, congregation, organization, and they've actually had this kind of discussion with y'all where they're showing you how they operate? If so, raise your hand. If no, that's a big problem. Because then why are you even a part of it? You know what I'm saying? Like, there may be some underhanded stuff that's going on you don't know about. So what we want to do is just open it up publicly, not just for this group, but anybody. We're live streaming right now. Anybody can watch this. And we have no fear with people seeing how we operate, because through transparency, not only will we can stay off any kind of potential infiltration, because if they see that you're being transparent and you're doing things by the book, then what's their need to infiltrate? But if they think of esotericism or secrecy, now they're gonna try to infiltrate and have a hard time trying to protect those things. So the best thing is to be transparent, at least about how you operate. Now the motives and initiatives can be kept amongst the group, but how you operate should be public. So that way, if any kind of legal action comes against you, you can say, look, we made it public. This is what we do. You're not hiding nothing. All right? So let's go ahead and get started with this. So anybody that joins as a member of the organization, there are some things that we require of them, which any organization does. All right, one of the first things is a monthly membership due of $50, right? So $50, if you think about a membership due monthly, it's not a lot. When I was in the church, I paid tithes, 10% of whatever I earned, it came out of every check. That means gross, not net, gross. So if I made $2,500 in that check, I had to give them 10% of that. That's $250, right? Yes.
And some of these churches here in Los Angeles, they would check your W-2.
Oh yeah, to make sure that you give in what you're supposed. Yeah, that's a new requirement. A lot of churches are doing that. Yeah. And a lot of them encourage you to get your taxes done with them, so they can look into it. You know what I'm saying? Now you're laughing, but that's the reality. and then a lot of times people say, well, you know, I don't got cash, and a lot of churches now have ATMs. You know, go right to the ATM, make sure that you go to the ATM, take money out. Now they're doing Cash App now to make sure that, hey, we know you got Cash App, you just send member so-and-so some money, so you can send us your Cash App. You got Zelle, they do all those things. We're saying that looking at think tanking it and trying to figure, okay, how can we run this organization financially, that we narrow it down to just with $50 a month from each individual member, we'll have enough financial resources to put the things into action that we think tank behind closed doors. Now think about that. If we had 20 members, 20 times 20 is what? 400. So $400, if we see that, for example, there needs for us to need to lobby in a community because there's no stop sign, it's not far from a school, and kids are crossing and getting hit. And what it will take is us using that $400 as a means of a resource to create a ballot initiative after we do a town hall meeting to implement it into the politics of the community so that way we can get the stop sign done. I believe with just that $400, we can get it done. If we need those resources for anything else, any initiative we put forth, just $400 from just 20 people, I believe is enough. If we get more than that, even better. However, if it's insufficient, then what we do, we created programs I'm gonna go into where we can actually bring in more resources, or we can do fundraisers, whatever the case may be. However, I'm not a fan of tithes. I don't know how many of y'all watched me do a video on that. I kind of put that thing on trial. I'm not a fan of tithes. Now, I'm not ashamed to say that because I believe that's robbery. Because what you're doing is you're paying to be part of the church. You're paying and giving your free labor on top of it. So you're paying them and giving them free labor. To me, that's ridiculous. Because if somebody can't afford to even pay that and they want to be part of the organization, guess what? We have measures in place for them to get money so that they can pay, and the surplus they put in their pocket. Churches don't do that. You know a church that does that? Raise your hand. Let me know. If you can't pay your tithe, they say, oh, look, you know what? We have this extra work on the side that you can do. So this way, it's your, what's that called? It's your free will offering. So a free will offering is what? If anybody seen that in the text, what's a free will offering?
You give it because you want to, right?
Because you want to, because you've given the requirement, and the free will is addition to the requirement. That means you're not obligated to give it, but because you have surplus, you give it, right? So our objective is if there's to create these surpluses, so that way that surplus money, you can take from it, pay your dues, and then use the rest of it for something on your own without having to come out of your normal 9-to-5 check. We never want to be a burden to the people who desire to be part of this organization so they can go and actualize solutions in the community. All right, so with $50, we believe we can do it without requiring tithes and offerings, $100, $1,000. We just do $50 a month, and if you can't afford it, we create ways so that you can pay it, all right? Another part is that annual membership certificate, which renews every January, so we give you a certificate at any time of the year, but it's good for that year, and then that next following year, if you're still a member, we'll give you a certificate, because this way, you know that you're an official part of the organization when you have a certificate, right, and you're paying your dues, okay? We also encourage the purchase and wear of the KHM t-shirt. That we will supply for you initially, and if something happens to it, then you just pay or buy the shirt. A polo shirt, if some of y'all want that, or a lapel pin, and we say if you want to add fringes or tassels, you can do that. That's something that we would regard, and the reason why is because we like uniformity. We're going to go out to do something as a team, so people to have brand recognition of who we are, what we're about to do, so they know anytime they see us and something goes down, they know who to go to. They go to us, all right, because we're going to bring the solution, okay? So this is part of the uniformity and things that we require members to have. But we also, before COVID, when this was actually set up, we wanted a one fellowship event, and the purpose of the fellowship event is for the group to come together officially, because they can always come together more than one time, but it's a requirement to come together one time, to sit down, to have a powwow discussion about things that are going on with each member personally that they may need assistance with. So what we do is that we create these team building or team bonding activities. Sometimes we'll go and fund a trip to like escape house. How many of y'all done the escape room things before? Anybody know what the escape room thing is? Did y'all like that when you did that? When I had a job, we did several of the things. The purpose of that is to build trust and bonds among the group. So if somebody has an issue or an ill person in the group that they feel like they want to share, like somebody says, hey, look, my house is about to be foreclosed. What resources are available? Somebody says, oh, you know what? I know about this grant program you can apply for that they can give you the funds to stay off that. As a group, we sit down and talk about these things, because if you can help each other, solve problems amongst each other, do team building activities, now when we go out in the field, we can get the work done. How many of y'all been in the military? Know somebody in the military in here? So before you go to actual war, what do they do with you? But you do training, right? So you know all the fundamentals of what's required of you and how to work with other people in your unit. Yes? No? Am I right? Am I saying the wrong thing? So us working together, we have to have that same mentality where we're going to practice on our skills on how to work with each other. So when we go out there in the streets, people see uniformity, they see they're very structured, organized, and know how to work together and get these problems resolved. All right. So we want everybody to also, any ideas that you have that is cutting edge, that can get us ahead of the curve, that can make us better as an organization, we want everybody to give at least one idea, at least something. Everybody here is capable of providing something innovative that you can make this your own. It's not Divine Prospect's organization. It's an organization for the community. I'm just the one that spearheaded it. But if you look at a spearhead, you cannot shoot an arrow with just a spearhead. Why is that? Anybody know archery in here? I've done archery before. Anybody done archery in here before? Can you shoot an arrow with just a spearhead? No. Think about that. So what does that arrow contain? 3 major components.
The stick, the spearhead, and then the little things that control like the way it flows through the air, right?
So the spearhead is the first thing that makes impact. But if it doesn't have the other part, there's no stability. You can't get it to its proper trajectory, right? You may have the wind drift that may affect it. So you need the other parts of the arrow. So the spearhead is the part that makes the actual impact. However, without the other pieces, it can't hit its target. All right. So even though I may spearhead these things, I cannot get it but so far without the help of y'all. And if there's no inclusion of ideas and people are not inspired to contribute, then it's not going to go anywhere. All right. Familiarity with the organization's mission statement and charter, which I went over with you guys earlier. Fulfill a role or join a role team. So there's different roles. I'm going to get into that in a second. And we want everybody to be part of a role so that way they can contribute something to the organization and they can have a specialty. Okay, because everybody in here can provide a specialty to the role, assist with current organization services, or provide. How many of y'all have unique skill sets from a 9-to-5 job? Everybody should have unique skill sets from a 9-to-5 job. How many of y'all have businesses on the side? How many of y'all have a not-for-profit? How many of y'all sell products, goods, or services? We want to cover all of that. We want all the things that you've done in your 9-to-5 and your life outside of your identity to be able to utilize it for the benefit of the organization so we can provide these services and skills to the community. One thing that I did when I was in New York, we had a program in New York where we found out that there was a lot of homeless veterans on the street and there was a lot of troubled youth. So what do you do when you have troubled youth and you have veterans on the street? Well, you put them together. So what we did was we figured out that, hey, we know people that work with the VA and other that work with other veteran programs. And we found out that there's a lot of veterans on the street that have been denied by the VA. How many of y'all are military in here or ex-military? Have you ever dealt with the VA? Okay, you had to have dealt with the VA at some point. And unfortunately, those people had the short end of the stick. They ended up on the street homeless. However, if you look at their resume for what they did in the military, you'd be like, how they let this person on the street like that? Like some of these people like have military intelligence spec op training where they can create an insurrection. You ever heard of the Green Berets? We found a dude that was a Green Beret on the street. And you know what the Green Berets was designed to do? J.F. Kennedy helped push them out. What were they designed to do? Anybody know the history of the Green Berets? Anybody? Their job is to be kind of sleeper agents. They do sustained missions, right? So you have your Navy SEALs. Navy SEALs go in and out, do the task, there for a few days or whatever, and they get out. The Green Beret stays behind enemy lines, learns the culture, the language, the politics, understands the social temperature of the people, knows how to take all of us in here and turn us into soldiers. So in the event that the nation is being oppressed, we can go and fight back. These guys on the street. I'm like, yo, how you get these guys on the street? So when we went and investigated, we find some of these veterans and we say, okay, look, we want to go and provide them housing and food so they're not on the street, but in exchange, we have the youth that are troubled. So what we want to do is create a program where these troubled youth can find ways that if they're on parole or something on probation or whatever, they can tell their parole officer, hey, I'm involved in a program that's teaching me discipline, skills, and all these things, so we can reduce their probation and be able to give them invaluable skills. So we had these veterans come in and teach them the fundamentals of what they learned in the military as far as discipline, order, and structure, but also the skill sets that they learned. One of these guys was a mechanical engineer, and his job was to build bridges. So he built a bridge. Anytime they would go to a place, his job was to create a bridge so they can get over a place, a gap or whatever in the case, because I think he was in Iran or something like that. And he learned how to build bridges where he could connect any two pieces of land to each other and show you, if you don't have the technology to do it, how to create it from the environment. What the heck? I didn't even know. I was like, what? And he was teaching these things because it's a form of STEM. So now those kids can add that as part of the STEM program, right? STEM stands for what? S stands for science, T stands for, E stands for engineering, M stands for math, right? So this program, I thought it was great. However, guess what? They didn't give us the funding for it, so we had to raise funds. And then secondly, the community didn't think it was a good idea because they believed the city had better services to offer their children. And guess what happens to some of those children now? Some of them took this program and is doing great. Other ones who had the parents that were speaking against it are back in the system again. Because our people think that we can't engineer something out of our own ingenuity to solve problems, and they'd rather go to the city, the county, or the state to do it. So hopefully that's a program that we probably can bring back. I would love to bring it back because I learned a lot from just sitting there listening to these veterans, all the things that they did. I mean, we need to know how to arm ourselves. These brothers can shoot any gun. Field stripping, how many of y'all have field strip a weapon? I learned that from these veterans. If y'all don't know how to field strip a weapon, we gotta do some training. How many of y'all know how to hold an AR properly with the stances? You know how to do AR? Okay. A handgun? How many of y'all know how to shoot a handgun? At least everybody should know how to shoot a handgun. Okay. Okay. How many of you have been to the fire range lately? Raise your hand. It's not enough of us. Everybody in here should know how to do that. That should be one of the basic skills that all of us have for survival. It's not a luxury, it's a survival technique. You never know what situation you may be placed in when you need to know these skills, all right? So here's what one of the certificates look like. If you guys become a member, you get the certificate. Here's what the t-shirt looks like. I have one of them. If you see Gail and David, they have those shirts on. I'm supposed to get one for Jamal, but we didn't get to get one in time. I'll make sure he has one. So Jamal right now is the tentative director of the LA chapter. So if you have any questions, concerns, you can go to Jamal, as well as either me, Gail, or David, but he's the one that's here locally. So we're gonna train him, get him up to par, so that way when we start to do these type of things, Jamal will be the point man. Unless he abdicates a position and somebody else wants to do it, but there's other roles that's available as well, okay? So this is an example, our KHM New Orleans chapter that we had, my brother, Shay Mikhael. When we went out there, I did a lecture out there. I don't know if y'all seen the lecture. I think that was one of my favorite lectures that I did. It pretty much was on the dietary law and taught the practicality of the dietary law. All right, so where's the dietary law located at in the Torah, or the Chumash, the first 5 books of Leviticus what? Leviticus 11, right? But it's also in Deuteronomy too. So what I did was I wanted to teach the community why the dietary law is practical. People think about it as a religious thing. Don't eat this and don't eat that. But when you go back and examine the ecology of that environment and the role and contribution that each animal does, you know why certain animals, you cannot eat too many of them because it's not sustainable. Certain animals have a role in the environment, right? Like shrimp. What's the role of shrimp? What do? They bottom feed. If you eat too many of them, what do you think is going to happen? Waste is going to build up in the ocean. Opportunistic eaters, such as pigs, they'll eat anything. They eat, and their job is to do that, so that way you can clean up the carcasses and stuff that's there. There's also certain birds that require the mother to raise them until they get to adulthood. The text tells you not to eat those type of birds, because if you eat them, it's not sustainable. The youth cannot live until they are groomed into adulthood by the mother, and then the mother parts with them. You're not to eat those animals, because if you eat them, then you take them out of the ecology of the environment. Other things start to break down. Once you remove components of the food chain, things break down. So it teaches you practically what to refrain from in order to stay in harmony with the environment in which you live, not to overconsume. The text even tells you to let the land rest after a certain period of time, because anybody here does agriculture, or farming, gardening, or whatever? Raise your hand. Oh wait, that's not good. Okay, so you got to do classes on that too. But if you toil the land too much, over time, what's going to happen? It's going to stop yielding. You know why? Because that's not natural. When we get involved in agriculture, that is an unnatural phenomenon that's been designed for the sustainability of people in that region. If people are not toiling the land, what other animals will go in there and toil the land like we do? What other animal you know in nature does that the way we do it? No other animal does that. And if they do it, it's on a very minute level. And the reason why they were created that way is so that they don't deplete the land. But humans, we be given a high level consciousness, and we overexert the resources naturally that have been given to us. And when we deplete it, now we don't have it. One of the fundamental concepts of Bereshit or Genesis is to teach man that he has dominion over the works of the Creator's hands. It's been given to us so we can be good caretakers of the land. However, because the people who were not in initial covenant with that information has a different perspective on things in regards to survival, so it doesn't matter what they do to industrialize the land, they take it out of sync, and now everybody else is adversely affected by it. Now they talk about things like climate control and stuff like that, right? However, we are the people who are party to the covenant of this patron deity of the text. We've been told, we've been given the land to be caretakers over it and subdue it, and in exchange of doing that, then the land will continue to yield back to us. We have to stay in harmony with the land. That's extremely important. It's extremely practical. So what I do is I teach Torah from a practical perspective so people can get the divine insight of what is being conveyed that the ancestors of the text were trying to leave behind as a legacy to further generations. If you teach it practically, you get rid of the religion part and people say, oh, that's why that's there. That's very practical. Yeah, that makes sense. And then you can lead them further into it. But if you try to give them some religious thing, oh, the Most High said don't do this and don't do that. Well, why? Well, I don't know. He just said don't do this, don't do that. Okay, that is different when you convey in a way that's practical, that's cultural based, that's in harmony and sync with the land, the environment, nature, and all of that. It just says, oh, that just makes sense. And then people gravitate towards that, and that's a different way to convey the truth that lies therein, that you want people to acknowledge. We can't keep doing it the way the church has been doing it for a long time, because after a while, 2020, people start to tune out to that and tune into other things that are more practical. So we can still reach them that way because this is a culture that's practical. So they created a theme around the fellowship event. This one was on football because, you know, he was a fan of the Saints from New Orleans. So as a fan, he said, hey, you know what? One of our fellowship meetings that we want to do where we get together, we eat and we talk and we build, and then we have a powwow about how do we fix the community, right? I want to do a baseball theme. So we created the flyer for him, and he went and gathered the people. Some of them, as you can see, have Saints jerseys and stuff on. It's just a way to get the people together, not just part of the organization, but the public at large. So when they can come in and hear the stuff we're talking about. So they think it's all just a theme, people getting together, you know, they eating food, and they come in here and everybody's talking in court. And then they say, okay, it's the breakaway session. Now we're going to talk about issues in the community. Like, oh, shoot, how did I end up in here? I just came here for the food and the Saints game. We talking about what? That's what we want to do. We want to find a way to invite them in to these type of events so that way when they come in, they can hear the message and information we're talking about now, so we then can get more allies to fix problems in the community, okay? All right. All right, so there's different chapter roles. There's a director, which is the chief overseer of the organization to make sure everything is running smoothly. We have administrators that are designed to do the legwork and the pip work on the back end, right? We have event planners. I know somebody here said there was an event planner. You have event planner position, public relations or PR, social media manager. So we just recently brought on board a PR rep. We met her through Elder Yosef, which is a person that's part of our KHM DC chapter. And his sister is a PR rep out here. She was a news anchor for like 7.5 years, I think she told us. And then she broke away from that to become a publicist. And now she has a company where they provide PR services for ex-NFL, NBA players, celebrities, fashion designers, small businesses, large corporations. They just provide PR for everybody. So now they want to step in and do PR for us officially, right? So when we interface with the media, we interface with politicians, other organizations and corporations, we have somebody that's been seasoned in that role, and they can put forth the branding and our intentions in a way that is conveyed and received by an outside audience, right? Because everybody outside of this may not understand the things we say, but it's her job to translate that information practically to the outside community, all right? So we have a role for that, advertising and promotion, so we can get the word out, the information out, the events out, everything like that. Services, so we do provide services for the community, our debt elimination and credit repair service, and our naturopathic health consultation service. However, we have more services that are coming up by members that give ideas to things we can turn into a service that they then can work through the organization. So there's limit liability on them. So now once they get the experience doing it through an external entity, when they decide to branch off and do it for themselves, they have the experience that they need without the liability, right? So we take on that liability by giving people opportunities to learn these things and to present it to the community. So one thing we have coming up is a homeschooling service that we want to offer in every city that KHM is in, right? So my children, I mentioned before, they go to a private homeschooling center, right? right? The person that started it, she used to be a professor in the university. When she came into the truth, she realized that the education that's being provided to her child, her son, was not adequate enough because it didn't have the cultural element and it wasn't designed around his behavioral profile as a Black boy in America. So she decided that she's gonna remove herself from being a university professor, tenured university professor, to go and create a homeschooling center and get it accredited and run it so that way our children learn the way they were designed to learn. And that's where I put my children at. So we want, and then there's another one called Set Apart Homeschooling Academy in Norfolk, Virginia, that I met the brother Daweed King, and him and his wife, they have something similar out in Norfolk. So I said, look, I want to be able to create these services in every city we're in. So that way, people talking about, oh yeah, you know, white supremacy in this role, where your children go to school at? You know, I'm an advocate for charter schools, private schools, and good public schools. I did an actual video when we had the Democratic presidential debate in Atlanta, where Tyler Perry's studio was at. And I was out there because there was a group that was going out there to advocate for educational choices for Black and brown youth. Because a lot of times parents send their kids to public schools, they don't realize there's other options out there that's low cost or no cost at all. Like, for example, if you send your child to a charter school, if it's in your community, that's another option outside of a public school. A lot of times they run based on the same principles and regulations as a public school. However, they're giving Montessori and other ways to apply learning, right? And sometimes it's theme-based, etc. So like my niece in New York, in the Bronx, she goes to a charter school, and the way that they train her to learn is drastically different. Like the whole method of approach is different. So I advocate to let Black and brown parents know that you have other options besides zoning and the public school you go to. Charter schools, anybody can go to a charter school. It's not zoning, yes.
Yeah, we do the charter school. My wife homeschools, and like the history joint, they even let us do studying Torah written down.
Right.
And they don't say anything.
And as a group, we can start a charter school. Did y'all know that? As a group, we can start a charter school. But if you don't know this, you're not going to do it. So we want to encourage that as a service to say when people go to KHM, oh, you know what? They got this homeschooling program that they offer as a service. Let's go sign our children up for it. You have options. Oh man, they do credit repair. Let's sign up for it. Oh, they teach gardening. Oh, they teach carpentry, how to build houses. We want to provide all these services when people think about Israelites. Oh, these are the guys that got practical solutions for all the societal ills that we face day to day in our communities. These guys are the light. There you go. But if we're not providing that, why anybody want to sign up? Just so you can go in the corner and yell and tell people you cursed, keep the statute, laws, and commandments, and then go home and have to face bad credit, your house being foreclosed, bad health. We got to do more. And it's, again, it's not a shot to my brothers on the corner. They have their role. We're the next step. So after they bring them in, we say, okay, thank you for bringing them in. We're going to take it from here. So everybody has a role to play. That's why I don't down anybody that puts in work. I just said we got to understand that it has to be a holistic system. Everybody has a lane to play. You stay in your lane, I stay in mine. We work together. We can solve the problem. All right. Merchandise coordinator, because we do sell merchandise products. All right. Now, how do we generate earned revenue? So what is earned revenue versus contributions? Anybody here has an organization or was part of an organization knowing the difference between earned revenue and contributions for a non-for-profit organization? Anybody? I'll take a shot at it.
Yeah, contribution would be like a donation.
Mm-hmm.
And your earned is what whatever your product is, you're selling it and it's the value of the product.
Correct. So organizations, a lot of them, big nonprofit organizations, a lot of them do work based off of donations, but some of them also provide products, goods, and services. So the products, goods, and services would be their earned revenue that they make a profit off of, and then contributions would be the donations that they collect. All right, so starting off, we do have earned revenue. We get it through merchandise that we sell. We get it, and some of those merchandise are mixtapes that I have some of them back there. T-shirts, I have some of them back there. Calendars, because we have a calendar as well. We're working on one for 2021. And also we have a children's app that we're working on as well. All right, educational children's app that we're working on as well. That's from our cultural paradigm. All right, we offer services as well, which is our Jubilee Manumission program, which is our debt elimination and credit repair program, and our naturopathic eating, naturopathic health consultation program. So these are services we offer and products that we offer in order for us to generate earned revenue, okay? Also, I do seminars and workshops that I then want other people with specialties and skills to also do workshops and stuff that they believe that the community needs to know. And we can have those as paid seminars and workshops, so that way we can use that to generate revenue for the other things that we want to do as an organization, okay? Let me skip that, all right? So here's some of the merchandise portfolio. I just mentioned some of that here. We're gonna skip that. Here's the current organization services that we offer officially. We have some unofficial things, but we're gonna try to make those official. Jubilee Main Mission is a credit repair debt elimination program that is extracted out of our cultural paradigm, okay? So what do you mean by cultural paradigm? Well, if I say I identify as an Israelite, and one of the pieces of that cultural literature is what we call the Bible, then can I take something, some kind of idea from there and turn it into a service that can alleviate a societal ill in the community? And can I do it in a subtle way that those in the know will know the root of it, and those outside don't care about it, they just want the service? Well, Jubilee means what in the text? What's the Jubilee? It comes from the Hebrew word Yovel. What does Jubilee mean? What is the Jubilee in the text? Anybody?
Year of release.
The year of release of what? Who's being released?
Individuals in debt.
Individuals in debt, excellent. And also the land at the time, etc. So individuals in debt, that's the Jubilee. Jubilee is the announcement that after a certain period of time, now those who have creditors, the creditors forgive the debt of the debtors, and now they're able to go and start from scratch. So we say, hey, that's a great concept. How do we turn it into a service? Because in the Black community, bad credit is on the rise. Everybody has had credit issues, even me. I had really bad credit issues because I didn't understand any of that. And I was young, I listened to my mom, and I did what I wanted to do. And I amassed, I think it was like $35,000 in debt, and I got rid of all of it. Rid of it. I didn't consolidate it, I eliminated it. So from there, I said, oh, okay, because I was reading some stuff, doing research, asking around people I know in the legal field, whatever. I said, let me try to see if this works, and it worked. And I have all the receipts to show y'all. It worked. I said, oh, wow, okay, let me see if I can help a friend or something. And I helped them, and it worked. I said, this is repeatable. Like the scientific method, it's repeatable. So it was repeatable because of how things are set up. And I said, look, let me turn this into a service so I can provide this as a free service to the community, but also offer paid parts of the service. So we have the free element where we do free assessment and consultation, where we teach people how to fix their credit. If you have derogatory marks, how to get rid of them, and how to build credit. And I did a session on this when we was in DC, and I broke everything down, how to do it. I just tell you straight out how to do it. And in the description, I give you all the links, the official links where you can go to so you can go through the process yourself. Just gave it away to the community. However, 85% of the people who are interested in the service don't want to do anything on their own. They don't have the time, they don't want to learn it, so they ask us to do it. So at that point, it becomes a paid service. And then from there, we use that revenue that we generate to put money in the pockets of the people who become consultants or affiliates, and use the other 50 or 75% to funnel back into the organization. So if you're an affiliate, your job is to just share the information. Tell people what it is. You get a unique identifying code that follows you sharing the information. When somebody calls in, hey, I'm interested in Jubilee Main Mission. This is the code that I was given. We put that in the system to your name in our database that some of y'all are already in. And when you register, we enter you to the database that stays with you. So you get 25% commission when that person upgrades to our paid services. You get 25% commission, and you get a $10 sign-up bonus for just signing up for the service. And then every month you get a bonus depending upon how many people you're able to service. So the reason why we create that, not only for you to get extra money in your pocket, but let's say, hey, look, I don't have any money for the $50. Hey, just bring in about 2-3 people to do the service, and it'll pay for itself. Because if the service that you get is $200 and you're making 25% commission, how much is 25% of $200? $50. There you go. Pay my dues, it's done, and I got the rest of it for myself. If I need to keep bringing more people in, I can bring excess information. I can do it passively and make money on the side. Or you can make it a 9 to 5. It's up to you. Same thing with the health thing. What we do is we educate people on best practices when it comes to health and wellness. And from there, we give free assessment, free consultations, and then there's paid services where we create customized regimens of best practices for health, because our job is to educate. We're not a physician or anything like that. It's to provide education so people can be proactive with their health. So that way they can diminish the amount of visits they do to their regular doctor. They can take matters into their own hands and become autonomous, govern their own health affairs, right? So again, it's the same thing. If you want to do affiliate program, you get 25% of it. You get a $10 sign-up bonus. But if you want to be a consultant, which means you don't just recommend people, your job is to actually work with the clients that we establish. You get 50% commission, You get a $20 sign-up bonus, and then you get bonuses every month for the amount of people you bring in. So this is the way you can make money on the side, and the reason why we created that, not just to fix issues in the community, but to provide a surplus of resources, financial resources for people who need the extra money or want to use it to pool into the organization, so that way we have a surplus to do whatever initiatives we want to put to use. And these are just ways that I just sat and think tank and say, okay, how can we create a way so that people can pay for membership dues if they don't have it, and how can they add additional money in their pocket, or they can offer this. So let's say there's a $200 deficit that we need for a program, well, we can make it up by utilizing these services. All right? Okay? We get through. What types of contributions do we receive? Membership dues, GoFundMe donations, PayPal donations, Patreon pledges. Some of y'all might be Patreon members in here. YouTube revenue, Cash App donations, and cash donations when we do entry fees, charge entry fees at lectures, events, fundraisers, we raise money as well, fellowships that we do, etc. So that's how we get contributions. These are all the sources of our contributions, right? So let me run through this. What are our goals? To reconstruct and restore culture back to our community so we can entangle ourselves with the benefits of Deuteronomy 28:1-15 while we're behind enemy lines. We create that buffer so we can become autonomous and set apart. So while things are happening in a secular world, it is not affecting us because we have untethered ourselves and we're relying upon each other, so we have the resources amongst each other, so we don't have to worry about what's going on outside. If we all in here practice best practices as it pertains to health and wellness, then nobody in here should have a real fear of coronavirus. Does that mean you won't get it? Of course, you can still get it. However, you can fortify your body or your immune system in order to fight it off because there's still no vaccination. You have to wear masks, wear gloves, get hand sanitizer, but what happens when you take that stuff off? What happens when you have a family member that goes to work every day and comes back home and they may bring it in the house? How are you protecting yourself? So that's what we teach when we teach good health, right? Raise capital is another goal. Why? To provide employment, because we want to be able to give an opportunity for everybody in here to get employment. If there's an economic depression, like what COVID-19 caused, and we had this chapter set up, if anybody lost their job, we can provide you employment. That's what we want to do. Be able to provide employment. Everybody in here should have the option whether or not they want to work a 9 to 5. And we want to be able to provide that opportunity for that, right? Which will help, obviously. Provide free services, like I just said, when we raise money, we can provide services to the community that is necessary. These are not optional services. These are services that almost everybody in our community needs. And that's what we want to create. Create services what people need, not just a need service, okay? Establish more community improvement programs or projects. Make investments to provide security for future events, so that way we have a buffer of resources or surplus of financial resources to protect us in the event of an economic depression, and also so we can become an angel investment entity. What is an angel investor? Does anybody know what an angel investor is?
That's connected with the
Instead of a capital adventure. So an angel investor, for example, let's say I'm Bill Gates. I mean, not using people don't like Bill Gates. Let's say I'm Jay-Z. You might like Jay-Z, but let me use Jay-Z. So I'm Jay-Z, and I come to this brother here, and I meet him in a discussion or something like that. And he says, man, look, I think our community should start building earthships, man. It's a self-sustainable way for housing. It fixes the housing crisis in the Black community. I have a little non-for-profit where we actually teaching people this and build it. Jesus is like, oh, wow. So, man, that's great, man. So you know what, I'm gonna cut you a check. So that way you can get this off of the ground, and once it's successful, my name is tied to it. And or I may require a small percentage. Let me get about 5% of that profit that you make back from it, but I'm gonna give you all the upfront money to get it off the ground. We should be able to do that in our community. If anybody has an idea for anything like that, you should be able to go to a group in your community, say, look, this is an idea we have. It can fix a societal ill, and we can make a profit off of it. I need about $10,000 to get it started. Where can you go to get that in the community right now, Black community? I said within the Black community. I'm not talking about going to the bank. I said within the Black community, where can you go to get $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, so that way you can get those ideas off the ground. And if you can't go nowhere, that's the problem, and that's what we want to fix. That's why we need to raise capital. All right, this is important to do stuff like that. All right, establish partnership with other organizations. So there may be other organizations that may not have the same vision as us per se, as far as how we identify. However, they want to fix the same issues. We can partner with them as a collective whole to do so. Instead of one person saying, oh, I got all these ideas, but can't really manifest them because they don't have the support of a community to do so. Now we can do it as a group. We can work with other organizations, and we can continue to fix problems in our community. right? Establish an HMO, that's something that we want to do as an end game for our naturopathic eating, which is Health Management Organization. How many of y'all know what an HMO is? Raise your hand. How many of y'all have medical insurance through an HMO or PPO? Okay. How many of y'all pay out of pocket for your insurance? For now. So what we want to do is we want to create an HMO for alternative medicine, naturopathic health solutions. So naturopathic doctors, how many of you know about naturopathic doctors? You know they exist, right? They're board certified, they can dispense prescriptions and everything like that. However, they take a more natural path to health. So allopathic medicine is here that says the body can't take care of itself, it requires human intervention to fix itself. So that's the way allopathic medicine goes. Naturopathy says, wait, the body can do everything it needs, you just got to provide it with the resources to get the job done, and they take that approach before they prescribe medication. That's how it works. So medication prescribed initially as a good business model, and also because it's a targeted solution. It follows particular metabolic pathways, so it can alleviate symptoms so you can feel better. However, it does not go to the root cause, right? Naturopathic medicine seeks to find the root cause and tries to resolve it by taking care of insufficiencies, deficiencies, malnourishment, and things of that nature, all right? So we want to create the HMO so that way when people want to go to get alternative medicine, they don't have to get it from their major insurance, which most of the time doesn't even cover it. But we want to provide an HMO that does cover that, and that can also provide an incentive for those alternative medicines to bring in as many patients as possible and keep as many out. If you keep more out than you bring in, then you get a bonus at the end of the year or biannually. You get every 6 months, you get a bonus for keeping patients out, not for bringing them in. Bringing them in is a good business model, recurring customer. But what about keeping them out? Doctors can lose their mind. I'm gonna keep the cut. I can't stay in business. Well, if we're able to get the surplus from the funding that we have from education, training, and stuff like that, if you're actually being paid to train people about good health, and we're giving you money from it, because on the back end, we're creating a foundation. Anybody know what a community foundation is? I know I'm saying a lot of stuff, right? Community foundation. Community foundation is a foundation or organization that's created based on a community. It could be a city, town, county, whatever. And their job is to create a fundraising entity that collects funds, that turns them into grants, and then dispenses it back to the immediate community that they're involved in. A lot of times people go to state, federal government for grants. Well, name a county out here. Give me a county. LA County. They have a community foundation where they create grants to give to you for things that you would normally go to the state or federal government for. Did you know that? It's here. And those grants can be used to start up small businesses, purchase homes, create gardens, do all of that. But if we don't know about this stuff, the trade secrets, we can't utilize it. So now go back to Research Community Foundation. They exist. Well, what we want to do is be able to create our own forms of those things so that we can provide insurance and other things to our community, so we don't have to worry about anything outside of us. Autonomy is the key. Establish municipal corporations that are Israelite friendly. What I mean by that is municipal corporations is the way for you to create your own city in an unincorporated county. So out there in Atlanta, there are unincorporated county parts of the county where people in the community decided we're going to turn this into our own city, so we don't have to rely on the county who drags their feet of their commissioners to then create ordinances or statutes for immediate things we need in the community. We create our own city, establish our own city council, our own municipal courts, our own police safety or public safety, which is your police department, fire safety, public works. You create all of that from within the community, and it's based by charter. You can create your own city. When I say Israelite friendly, what do I mean by that? Well, if you go into Torah, Torah is a legal structure for a theocracy. So it provides ideal social policies to ensure that everybody's working in love, ahava in the Hebrew, love together, where they're respecting each other's property, each other's liberties, etc. And even if you have a beef, like I told you, you go and you resolve that societal ill, that brother or sister. The purpose of that is to bring you back into right relationship with it, to diminish your pride, and to produce selflessness. So you take those elements of it. For example, one of those things is that if a man works, he needs to get paid before the sun sets. You get paid for your labor the same day you work. Imagine if you work that way. Some people do. If you're a contractor, that may happen. But when you work your regular 9 to 5, you're on a payroll system. It don't work that way. Now, what if you could change the policy so that people are paid every day that they work? And you don't have to wait for 2 weeks and some issue happens, some legal issue, and they can't pay you. But if you get paid every day, That sounds like a good policy. Now, is it self-sustainable over time? Yes, there's models that work where people get paid the same day, but corporations will have to agree to it. Well, if we put in policies after we take over the community politically, we create these ordinances and these statutes that have a Torah edge because it comes from this root concept, and we find a way to create it into a policy that can help fix societal ills in that immediate community. That's what I mean by that. That's how we can become the peace of the city, because we have a blueprint that can be turned into practical policies, public policies that can fix issues in the Black community. We just got to know how to approach it. Is this being done somewhere? Yes. There's several places that are doing that. We can have that conversation offline. All right. Establish a safe haven or hub for Israelites who are not connected. I hear all the time Israelites say, oh, I'm out in this city, in this town, and nobody thinks like me out here. Well, we want to create this chapter so that way people can get together and we can get rid of that situation. Create and govern a network of resources for community autonomy. So all the services we provide, products, skills, we want to be able to keep it close knit. So if something happens, the sister just asked me, hey, when they turn up because of this election thing, how are we benefited by creating something like this? I said, well, all the resources we need should be within this room. And if not, somebody in this room knows a resource that we can get to galvanize and aggregate so we can dispense it to the needs of everybody when things are going on. One of the most important things is safety. That's why I asked you, do you know how to shoot a gun? You know, a field strip a gun. Do you know where the safety is on the gun? If I give you a gun, you show me where the safety is at. How you know to eject the ammunition from the gun. These are things that we need to know to protect ourselves for safety. What about home security? You need home security. What about food? Do you know anybody here that does trucking? Anybody here does trucking? Oh, that's really interesting. Because typically I always get people who are truckers in the group, but truckers understand logistics. And a lot of times truckers get surplus for products that's on there that's not accounted for in the inventory, which means they have a surplus of things that they can stack themselves if they want personally, or somebody that works at a restaurant or at a grocery store. There's always surplus that's getting rid of, dispensed. There's even not-for-profits that go to these places and they have a contract with the restaurant or the grocery store to get any items that's near expiration or has been expired, and they use it to give maybe to the homeless, whatever the case may be. Well, we should have all the resources we need, so if anything happens to this country, then we should be able to give a call to somebody in this room and say, look, I need this, can you help? And in exchange, I can give this to you. That's how we need to operate. So when that happens, you have a peace of mind, peace, keyword, shalom, you ain't gotta worry about what's going on outside your door. So we got our own network. We can just call this person, call that person, get together, have a little meeting, see what we need in the community, and say, okay, cool, economic depression, it's not bothering us. Anybody need a job? Well, we got employment here. Here's these services. That's a necessary service, so that means everybody's gonna need it. So some way, somebody's gonna pull into it, and we all can share from that pot, all right? So we can prepare our community for Yah's return. We want to be able to provide free healthcare for people when we establish our HMO. Free healthcare. You ain't got to pay nothing. You find a way to get it funded. It don't have to come from your pocket because you have been one of our, what they say, crowd sources for starting these things. You've been one of the day ones, which we say in slang. Or you've been somebody that rocked with us from the beginning, that's been an investor, that stuck it out, and now we have it established, and now you can eat from that tree, all right? Provide employment, all right, through our organization so we can earn revenue while bringing out our message to the community. Become debt-free through our Jubilee May Mission program. Access a network of in-house Israelite resources among ourselves. To have a devoted and proactive team assisting you as you change your community's condition. That's the most important thing. Having a dedicated and devoted team. To enjoy dynamic fellowships with like-minded Israelites at our various national events. We have them. And we stopped a lot of them because of COVID, but hopefully next year we can ramp those back up. We want to do a solutions conference. We want to do a naturopathic health conference where we have registered nurses. We got ex-allopathic doctors that we know of that come in and teach seminars about health and wellness solutions, meaning we tell people economically how to empower themselves. Anybody heard of Claude Anderson? Raise your hand.
Oh, yes.
Powernomics, you heard of that?
Greatest.
Excellent teacher in regards to economics. So what we want to do is teach those courses as well to our community so that way we're financially literate. When you go to the Jubilee May Mission program, part of it towards the end is to teach you financial literacy. Hey, we see you got into a debt situation, but how do you stay out of it? Right? So we want to be able to teach that. Be at the cutting edge of our community's innovation and apply, like I said, those Torah policies within the community that's practical. Learn how to become an asset for a cause greater than just yourself. Learn how to be set apart through autonomy and preparation of Yah's arrival for those of us who subscribe to that. And lastly, well, I think that's it. I think there's one missing, but and lastly, let me see if I can remember it. Lastly, the other benefit is being able to leave a legacy behind for your children as a collective, as a village. That village mindset, we don't have that no more. Well, our ancestors came from a village mindset, right? Which means that everybody contributes. We read, for example, from the scriptures, we read Jeremiah chapter 29. He said this letter goes out to who? Who was this letter written to? He said to the priests, to the prophets, who else? Everybody. That means the priests building houses, planting vineyards, because the priests didn't do that. Priests, they just worked in the temple. Now it's like, okay, now you in captivity. Now you need to get dirty. Prophets, same thing with them. Had to get added to all the people. Why? Because if everybody works together with the village mentality, it's not about self. Capitalism in America teach you, I'm out for myself, I'm out to feed my family, and that's it. I don't care about nobody else. That's the problem with black people. We only care about ourselves and our inner circle and everybody else, whatever. I don't care. Everybody else is expensive, but I don't care. Other communities, they don't think like that. White Jewish community in Brooklyn. I grew up in New York. My friend lived in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, and we used to pass through, man, I forget this. I must be tired. Anyway, East Brooklyn, where white Jews was at, we used to pass through that neighborhood, and when you go through there, I'm like, oh, we still in America. It don't even look like America no more. Everything is in Yiddish. When you go through there, some stuff is in Hebrew, most of it's in Yiddish. Call the ambulance truck comes, bunch of Yiddish across it, they take you to a Jewish hospital. It's like, what the heck is that? School bus comes, Yiddish across it, they take you to a Jewish public school or charter school that teaches the fundamentals of their culture. See a citizen home, all written in Jewish. Yiddish. You're like, oh, what is that? Go get to the food, everything's kosher. It's not kosher. Legally, you can set it up in that community, but they gonna give you a hard time. Everything is surrounded by their culture because what they do is a fundamental principle. If somebody has an idea of something that can benefit the community, everybody in the community financially provides until the idea is off the ground. No exceptions. Everybody has a job, I have an idea, guess what? Everybody puts money in the pot and it goes towards my idea until it gets off the ground. Once that's done, now I become the next contributor to the next person that has another idea that helps the community. That is taught culturally. That means when the babies are in the womb, they speak it to them when they come out, they raise them up so that way when they become an adult, it's already second nature. And they go to another community and say, man, y'all don't do that. What y'all mean y'all don't do that? This person had a great idea. Why ain't it off the ground? Y'all don't do that. That's part of their culture.
That's the secret of why you see so many Indians on the 7-Elevens.
East Indians, facts.
If one wants to own the 7-Eleven, then he has to come over and work for the owner of that 7-Eleven, and they help him then get his franchise.
Exactly. And sometimes the franchise is just used for other endeavors, but it's a way to generate revenue. So I was, it's funny, I was in an Uber ride before, and there was another passenger in an Uber share ride with me. This was years ago. And he was speaking to the driver, and he was telling the driver, now this is a black guy. He was like, man, I went overseas, because he was an exchange student, overseas to Korea. Lived in Korea for several years, got a degree or whatever the case would be. And then he's like, man, what am I supposed to do when I get back home? I got to find a job. Those Korean people said, whoa, wait, what? You got to worry about that when you go home? So, yo, here's a number. When you get there, call this number. Go to this community. Talk to someone so they're going to give you a house. They're going to give you a job. They're going to give you a car. They got car dealerships. They got places to do housing, employment. So when he went there, the Korean community gave him everything he needed when he touched back down to America. He was thinking about back in the black community, damn, what am I supposed to do when I get? They said, no, you don't need to go back home. He said, what? You're already an adult. No, go here, speak to this, and this person, and they'll give you everything you need. He went there, and now this guy is set.
He was operating off of a Kai system.
Say that one more time.
He was operating off of a Kai system.
That's exactly what that was. When you think about that, think about it. You come in, they grow up and they say, damn, you know what? I want to go to college. We ain't got the money. I need a job after that. So I got to get in debt to go to college, even though there's some yeshivas that provide free education to people of their own community. Because they find other means to get grants to pay for the education, because they know once we're able to take care of you, when you leave with any specialty, you bring it back to the community because you was culturally raised to do that. When we do that, we move the hell out of the black community. I'm out the hood. I'm good. I ain't going back. Maybe to see grandma, mama, maybe Ray Ray, but I ain't living there no more. And I ain't had nothing to do with them bottom feeders there. That's how we think, because when I was trying to go to school, get a law degree, they teased me. They wanted me to be a dope dealer, They want to be a hustler in the street. And if I decide I want to do something else, another specialty, because you know what, the dope dealers need lawyers. They go get Jewish lawyers when you get locked up. But yet that dude that was in your community, he was there, struggling to get a law degree. You teased him every day. And now he's the hell out the community. He's in a white community as a lawyer protecting white people. And you having legal issues for selling drugs now. You ain't even got access to him no more. The mentality we have is jacked up. And we scare these people out the community. They don't want to come back and help us at all. However, you go to their community, that's not the ideal. They don't think like that. That's taboo. Selling drugs? Man, if you're going to do that, at least do it outside the black community so you can get that money, bring it back to the black community. We don't even think like that. We just sell it to our own. And it's not our fault.
Isn't that more so with American blacks? Because you can have Ethiopians, they have their community.
Exactly.
Nigerians, they have their community and they stick together.
Yes.
So this is really more so towards, the American blacks, descendants of slaves.
Correct.
So we have that mindset that needs to be broken.
Correct. And it's not a fault of ours how we got in it, but it's a fault of ours if we stay in it.
Right.
Because it was created that way, because if we were unified, had resources, if every ethnic group, what they're doing, we were to do, it'll be a wrap for America. Because we have no need for America. We have so much leverage. We put in $1.6 trillion every year. Just put money out. And guess what? Maybe about 5% of that goes back to our community. That's crazy. You go to a Jewish community, it takes weeks before that dollar leaves out the community. The Asian community, did y'all know the Asian community is like the community with the most wealth in America? Did y'all know that? They surpass Caucasians. They right here now. Neck and neck, but they slightly above Caucasians. That is crazy. The dollar takes months before it leaves that community. Months before it leaves that community.
They're in the communities out here, especially for women, as we go to the hair shops and salons. And when you walk in there, they already look down at you. They don't treat you well. They don't even hire black people. And they do not look back into the community.
Facts.
What I would like to see is a list of all Asian-owned hair beauty salons, and they need to be ran out.
Facts.
They need to get up out of our community.
Now, there's people watching. I agree with that. You know why? Because show me how many black hair. No, check it out. How many black nail salons and hair stylists are in the Asian community? Show me. Show me one community where you see that. Show me where they in the Jewish community.
They don't even hire in their restaurant.
No.
They eat their food and really cook their neighborhood.
Facts. Tell me if you can go into a white Jewish community and sell ham sandwiches. You want to send that business up? Why not? It's legal. You could do it, but what do you think is going to happen? You try to do that to you. They're going to find a way to run you out. So how is it bad when we want to do that for our community? And the moment we said, look, we don't want them here. We want to take our own first, get us on a level playing field. But they said, oh, you racist.
That's right.
But hold on. How about racist? Because I'm trying to help the demographic with the most societal ills get to a point where they can even begin to compete. And you're telling me I got to still include everybody else. They never want us to get into a situation where we become autonomous. Because the moment we do that, all those atrocities they committed towards us, somebody got to pay that bill. Once we get power, it's a different ball game. Because then, so here's the thing. The Constitution says its job is to provide for to promote the general welfare. But then it turned from that to providing the general welfare. And for black people, they put us in a situation where we are heavily dependent on this system for our survival. Heavily dependent. You tell a black person, listen, there's a way you can survive off of EBT. How can I do that? Well, you know, you use your EBT card in places like Whole Foods. I've seen so many white people do that. I'm like, what? They take EBT here? They don't put them in our community in the beginning. Sometimes you got to drive to it. However, if you got an EBT card, you might as well go there and buy some seeds and build your own garden. Feed yourself. You might as well use that to buy better food quality for your children and for your household, especially if you're a nursing parent or prenatally. You can do that, but if nobody's telling us and we're not even attempting to do that, we're not going to know. So my thing is we have to take care of ourselves primarily, not exclusively, but primarily we should focus on our own community because we need it the most. Not because we're racist. Right. Oh, I hate white people. I hate Asian people. No. We have a deficit that is becoming a burden to society. How can you get mad at me trying to alleviate that burden and relinquish the resources being pulled in from the society to these groups? They're willing to take that L because it keeps us dependent. right? However, they still have programs, grants, and stuff that they offer us if you step in and perform those. I'll give you one last thing. So a lot of people in my community are against voting. I understand that. Me personally, I don't care about the presidential election. I didn't invite and vote for any of the bipartisan parties, but that's just me personally. However, there's something that's very important that's there on those ballots. And if you don't vote, you don't know what it is. What is a referendum? Raise your hand. Somebody tell me what a referendum is, or a ballot initiative. Raise your hand. Tell me what that is. Anybody? What is that? So if you have not voted, I can tell if you didn't vote because you don't know what that is. And that's almost on every ballot in every county. So let me tell you what a referendum is. And it varies from local government to state government. So in Georgia, there are 3 referendums, okay? And what happens is there are laws that are put in place that people, the common civilians, don't like. They go to their congressmen and women and say, look, we don't like this law, we want it amended. So what Congress does is say, okay, they create a ballot, which is called ballot, they initiate a ballot, and they take that ballot and they put it on the polls and you vote for that change, yes or no. And sometimes if it's a county or city, sometimes they put their own referendums on there as well for things that deal with the county. I'll give you one example, right? Flint, Michigan. Did you know in Flint, Michigan, they're still not really even getting clean water? I know people that live there. Still not getting clean water. You know how many years it's been? And you know why? Most of the black people don't vote. And what happens is some of the black people that did vote put this initiative on the ballot. And because the majority of people who vote are outside of our ethnic group and are unaffected, guess what happens? It never passes. Because nobody votes. Because we think, oh, these parties, they're not gonna do nothing for me and nothing for my family. That's not true. We just don't know what voting tactics are. Anybody know what tactical voting is? Raise your hand. What is a voting block? Raise your hand. What is a PAC? PAC? Raise your hand. What is a town hall meeting? Raise your hand. What is a campaign disclosure? Raise your hand. So if you don't know what these things are, then of course it's not going to work for you because we don't know how to utilize it. But all these other ethnic groups, they get involved in politics. They're going to say, look, if somebody is going to try to run or govern our community, it got to be in our interest. We're not just going to sit back and just say, okay, well, Babylon's burning anyways. I don't care. But yet you still send your child to public school. You still own a house. You're still paying taxes. You're still getting ordinances and fined for code enforcement violations in your community. You're still getting gentrified. Grandma's getting kicked out the house. You say, oh my God, why this happened? Well, it's happening because you didn't get involved. So we okay with complaining, but the moment somebody says, look, here's a solution. Oh no, that's too hard. I don't want to do this. We already, and then you complain some more when things continue to happen.
That's where the people perish for the lack of knowledge.
Okay. So I'm done with the session. So right now, it's if y'all still thirsty, hungry, water, you can't get up and talk. This is an open session for the rest of the time. How much time do we have left? David, Gail, how much time do we have left? Okay, so yeah, so at this point, we're finished. Before you guys go, if you have to leave, you can leave now if you want. If you want to stay and linger, we got about another 30 minutes to an hour to talk and have an open session. Before you leave, did everybody download the app? Okay, now on the app, there's a group section. Check it out real quick before you go. I'm gonna show you 2 things, and then you can break out, all right? Now, I was gonna touch on the 2 services we offer, but I'm not gonna do it today. However, if you go to the Kingdom Harvest Ministries YouTube channel, I have a session that I did on there where I talk about the credit repair and show you how to do it. I gave trade secrets away, free game, no charge. Go right to my channel. I show you how we do it and how you can do it for yourself. And as far as the health paradigm, I did the same thing. Jamal, behind you, there's 2 reference guides up there on nutrition and vitamins and minerals. You see it's right there. No, behind that. Yeah, right there. You can grab that and just pass it around. So one of the things, and I'm gonna say this real quick while you pull up the app, is these 2 reference guides are excellent for teaching you proper nutrition and as well as vitamins and minerals, what they are. How many people know what fat-soluble vitamins are? Raise your hand. Okay, how many people know what water-soluble vitamins are? Raise your hand. How many people know what major minerals, trace minerals, and ultra trace minerals are? Raise your hand. Does anybody know the toxicity effects if you get too much vitamin A? Raise your hand. So this reference guide breaks everything down for you. There's several textbooks that I read and that I use and that was recommended to me in regards to health and nutrition. However, I realized that people are not going to read this 600, 700, 800 page books that I read all the time. So I decided to find things that break and streamline all the information into easily digestible components that walks you through how to attain better health. And that's free game right there. You ain't gotta take no class, no course. You can educate yourself. And as far as the credit repair, we have a video on the channel that you can go back and watch where I do talk about credit repair. And in that video, I break down for you step by step how we do it and how you can do it for yourself. Free game, no charge. And this is all based on, is he leaving? Yeah. Are you leaving? Are you leaving for good or are you coming back? Okay, so I just want to take a group picture of everybody real quick. If you got like a minute or two, can I take a group picture of everybody real quick before we leave? Is that okay? Everybody, is that good?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So what do you think would be the best? I think we can do it against this wall and move the projectile. Before you go, then after that, I'm gonna tell you about the app, and if you gotta go, then it's fine. Just real quick. All right, so I'm gonna put on my phone. I'm gonna put a timer on it, and it's gonna take the picture of everybody. All right, so if everybody wants to get against the wall, you can. And those who are watching, thank you for watching. I'm about to close out the session right now, and hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Peace and shalom, family.